Hello everyone, I am Tacit and welcome to another Puzzle Quest 3 live stream. So of course this game is still in beta. It is as right now version 0.37, which just came out last night. So I figured we do a little bit of a short stream for today. Main thing that ended up happening with it was we ended up getting a bunch of set bonuses, though they also did a little bit of rebalance. And when I say a little bit of rebalance, I mean a little bit of rebalance. And yeah, we're just gonna kind of go mess around with a bunch of things, see what's up. Mess around probably with some standard dailies, see how the level 100s are now that they rebalance things ever so slightly. I'm pretty sure they're still absurdly tedious compared to before, but we'll see how bad it is. They're still making tweaks, of course. Still in early access, and we are playing on BlueStacks. Hopefully they will have an official Steam release by the end of this year, I believe was their goal. I'm pretty sure it's still going to be in beta because, gosh, does this game still need a mile and a half of work. However, hopefully it'll have a Steam release so we can actually start, doing a little bit more on it. Like, once version 1.0 comes out, we'll definitely be able to do quite a bit more, but just really annoying to use BlueStacks. I even have audio disabled right now because there's just a lot of weird audio glitches with it, specifically via BlueStacks. So, just best to not have it on unless we want to, not have any ears. Because it has some really awful audio glitches for it. So one of the first things to kind of mention as we're about to go here to just kind of take through some daily things, which I have like a billion things running right now. However, Evelyn actually ended up getting nerfed like crazy. The best crafter in the game is no longer usable. She used to be able to get a upgrading crystal chance for your other followers. That is no longer the case. I guess this was to offset the fact that you have a chance of getting them off the daily system. But now this makes it take even longer to now max out every single follower in the entire game. Before, I think it was 3 years. Now it is like 5 years in the current state of the game. Of course, that's probably still going to get rebalanced before the full release, but like the only way you get crystals now realistically is just randomly off of the challenges each day. Like this one, we got another one for the mage as of today. You get one like every other day, maybe every once every 3 days or so, like once every 2 days, once every 3 days off of that. Unfortunately, though, you do not get them off of Evelyn anymore, which before was about once per week if you were constantly crafting with her. But now it's 0 per week, so that's been slowed down quite substantially. But anyways, you can now use her instead to exchange for relics. This is not really advised. However, you can end up getting a random relic all the way at the beginning there. Pretty pricey on the gems there just for an ultra rare one because you just get off the daily shop, I think, for cheaper, if I'm not mistaken, or pretty similar priced. And then you can exchange any of these for, this is a little bit more reasonable, being able to exchange the same tier for a different tier of the same tier, just using some ore and gold. Unfortunately, it does use ore, which is a pretty precious resource that's limited. However, this is a bit more reasonable, the ones that allow you to exchange within the category. What's the one for the legends? Isn't it more? Yeah, you actually need to start using the crystals once you start getting up to Legend and Mythic. However, I believe you get to choose whatever one you want. I haven't actually done any of these crafts yet because they all seem like a waste of ore. Even if literally the only cost was ore, every single one of these seems like a waste. If it had no cost other than just ore. Like, look at that one, 1,500 to go get the mythic ones to a different category. These are mostly just to ascend stuff. Unfortunately, all the main material for ascending stuff is nowhere really to be seen, which are glyphs. Glyphs are still near non-existent. But since Evelyn isn't the main crafter anymore, and you can't use her to craft, other things have become more viable, like Torgon, which can do random armor because of set bonuses, and Gemka because of set bonuses, and I still did Eon because I don't have all the epics yet for all my characters. Like, I still need an epic smite on you. Are you going to give it to us? Oh, nice. Oh, we actually did get an epic we needed. At this level, they're about a 1 in 6 chance, like a 1.65. I know at level 50, they're about a 1 in 6 chance, pretty much on the dot. But at level 45, they're pretty close to the same. Unfortunately, no legend chance until they get to level 50, which is like going to be forever from now for most of them. But yeah, it's based on Zeon's drop table, still the same as previous patch. So the way that it works is she drops a random spell based on every spell in the game, plus whatever class you're using up to their level. So for example, if you're currently using a level 1 Paladin, let's say, you will only get the 2 starting spells that Paladin has, as well as every other spell in the game, which would limit your drop table the most. With us using a level 50 Paladin right now, it would drop every possible Paladin spell that there is in the game, as well as every spell that is non-class specific. So the only drops we wouldn't be able to get are the ones specifically on the other classes, and it is restricted to your level. So if you do want to limit the drop table a little bit more,
more. Like, for example, at this point, we might as well try getting her smite. We might want to try doing it on a level 1 paladin, which I actually do have. I was originally going to do it when the game launched. I was going to go do, like, the level 1 paladin thing. But they said they were going to be adding some more hero classes, possibly exactly at launch, whenever that happens to be. Like, almost a year from now, or I'm not sure when they're planning. But several months from now, whenever that is, they are planning on new hero classes. So, looks like we'll be doing those instead. So we'll actually have some fun hero class to mess around with when the game starts out again. Aside from that, yeah. So she's still okay to do if you still don't have all your, you definitely want at least base rares. Having epics isn't too big of an improvement, but that can still help. Anyways, the more important ones are the ones that can actually give set bonuses. Whoa, he can actually still give a common? Ooh, that's super rare at that high of a level. That is horrific. At level 50, they stop having any chance of giving a common. But that is the first common I've seen him drop. We got a bunch of ores I haven't been claiming. I'm probably going to go straight back into Torgon, even though our space is still pretty limited, even though they doubled it off of Norfhelm, the previous patch. There's still way not enough storage in this game. Jump Cut's kind of okay to do now, just because it's required for quite a few other set bonus stuff. Though anything that's not an epic, we're not really too interested in. And will you give anything good? No, you will not. You will give a tome that we already have one of every epic one, or uncommon, I mean. So we don't need that. Some of our rare pets are actually still viable. Unfortunately, that's not even a rare. Like, the better rare pets are actually perfectly fine compared to some of the epics. Like, some of the rare pets are better than the epic pets, which is kind of funny. And we got some gold. You know, I actually kind of want to do her. Pets still have a lot of excess storage because you don't need as much storage for pets as gears, even though they're giving the exact same amount for each of them. So, yeah, you can end up getting quite a bit of pets excess. Like, right now, I think I have, how much excess? I have, because I had to delete a bunch of them when the patch came around. And, yeah, we have, like, none right now. Because we had to go under that threshold, and then they, like, made the inventory bigger, and then it's like, oh, well, I don't need most of this now. Actually, I still have a couple of these I kind of need to scrap. Should probably start keeping one of each, though. I did it originally, but then we had to clear them for storage, and then they added more storage, and it's like, oh. That's like a reoccurring thing where you have to, like, scrap something, and then it's like, oh, I need that now. And it's like, oh, well, I don't have it anymore. Especially with set bonuses. I had so many that were, like, be so amazing for set bonuses, like purple boots for the night set and stuff like that, or the red shield for the firewalker, and we don't have it anymore in epic anymore. Or even just in general. But anyways, so yeah, pets are still a thing. A lot of excess storage, so you can kind of get away with it. Obviously, still drop key chance is still the best way to go. That's not it. Of course, they have a new sorting option that I believe that was in the previous patch, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, you still want to prioritize on all the ones that have super high key chance. Also, Green Dragon is the best of all the dragons. The dragons have slightly higher stats overall compared to the normal pets. And Green Dragon specifically has the highest key drop rate of any of those pets. So if you ever find Green Dragon, it's among one of the better ones. The absolute best is the Pus Bag, oddly enough. Because basically key drop rate is like the main thing that dictates them. But the three main pets that you want to be looking around for if you're still playing the beta at the moment, or looking to, Pus Bag's highest priority. Unfortunately, I have literally 0 of them in Epic. Second highest priority is Snack Rat, which is kind of like the Pus Bag, except a little bit higher for recovery and mission time. And the third best, oddly enough, overall, even though it's not the highest key chance, I believe the next third is technically the Octogol that they nerfed the previous patch, which used to be the absolute best, but they ended up nerfing it down to third best because it was like really broken before. But even though this has an overall lower key chance, actually, do I have a rare version I could show that on? I'm not sure if I do. I do. So this one's slightly lower. You can see this is 8.4 and it's actually only 8%. However, the reason why this is still viable is look at his other stats compared to it. So he has 5.8, 5.8, and 8.4. And if you go over to this, it is a little bit lower on the bonus key chance. However, it has a substantially higher mission time, as well as a higher recovery time, which makes it the highest statted pet in the entire game that has the highest key chance relative to those high statted ones, because the dragons have slightly higher, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be kept that way. So yeah, Green Dragon, pretty good, even though theoretically there's a few other things slightly better than it, which is why we have those upgraded. Anyways, aside from that, so many things to go over. We should probably mess around with set bonuses, but before we do, we have a couple chests ready, and by a couple chests, I mean only 2 chests. One of these is, I've been doing a lot of weird mixes of chests as well, because it's been very hard to maintain 100 chests, or, you know, level 100 chests. in the current state of game. It's just really annoying to do so. And I don't want to invest that much time. Normally we play for like, what, 2 hours a day, mostly just to do and kind of go from there. So this one was from the Savior set. I'm still trying to get some pieces from there, especially because of what the set bonus is. Of course, we do have set bonuses now. We will be going over those in a moment. If we could get through everything, but let's go through this other chest. Also, you can see that screen's a little bit different there. It actually shows it on that screen now. Unfortunately, it has like a weird screen that you have to like click through when it tells you the resources. It doesn't just disappear, which I guess is kind of good. But after you've seen it a billion times, it disappearing isn't necessarily a bad thing. Unfortunately, nothing good here, so scrap all that mess. Because like right here, normally you would just be able to go and click immediately into the next thing, but now you have to wait. So they actually made this take even longer. However, it does make it so you can't just like accidentally forget about it. Like before it would like show up, or at one point it didn't even show up at all. And then at one point it ended up showing up, but it would fade away. Now you have to specifically click out of it, which is both good and bad. It's bad because it takes more time, but it's good because you won't accidentally like not know what you got. Like right now we know for sure we got 10 gold and 4 minor, major, isn't it major? Whatever the second tier is called. Tier 2 material. So we know we got that. However, before it would just show up and then disappear. And at one point it didn't even show up at all, even though it's still giving the resources. But anyways, I should probably go get 2 smaller chests. I should might be able to just open most of these stream, except for that one. That one's going to take too long. But I'm pretty sure we'll be streaming for at least 2.5 hours. We'll probably be able to open those this stream. So I'm going to go find maybe irons. I might just do woodens. We could do 2 sets of woodens. Woodens mostly just have the crafting. Oh yeah, and speaking of new things, of course this menu is new. Might as well go over here since we're in this menu. So this is a menu that they redid. Overall, nice visual changes. As far as what's actually usable in here, not too much was added. Some things were nerfed, some things were buffed. Main thing is, of course, we still have the VIP system over here, still the same cost. However, they did nerf it. You no longer get the 1 ruby key per day. I forget what else they might have changed to it, but you no longer get the 1 ruby key per day, so it's actually even worse to have this now. However, everyone who already had it did get compensated for whatever it was before. So if you're wondering why on earth we have 753 ruby keys, it's because we got the whole 1 year's worth of the original ruby keys that this VIP thing would have given all at once. Though a lot of those are also from the guild, because you can just convert your honor into, or your, what's it called, honor? Glory? Honor. Yeah, it's called honor in this game, glory in Gems of War. But you can just convert all your honor into ruby keys pretty much, and sometimes gold keys. Still really hard to get diamond keys though, pretty much unless you can get diamond chests, and we haven't been getting a lot of diamond chests lately. But anyways, where were we? So yeah, that's pretty much unchanged except even worse. They have this kind of weird offer here, which is kind of just like flash offers in Gems of War, I assume. Very overpriced, not worth it. Daily deals are the exact same, except they have a different menu here. Overall, still weird value. Still worth refreshing always once every day. I'm pretty sure some people even refresh twice. But yeah, it's really hit or miss on if something's worth it. Obviously, anything for gold is always worth it, which is everything that we have balled out. But a lot of the ones for gems are very questionable, and the ones for crowns are extremely not worth it in pretty much every situation. So next one is currencies. They actually added more bundles for these. Overall, nothing really too enticing here. Mostly money-related stuff. Actually, I believe everything here. Oh no, the gold isn't. However, very rarely would you ever need a burst of gold. Gold is basically infinite in the current state of the game, and there's like nothing to use it on. So basically, nothing of relevance in that screen for the most part, unless you wanted to go do a bunch of money-related things. This is just all the same honor rewards. None of them have been changed at all in price. It's just a different menu for it. Dungeon marks menu a little bit different. However, there is one thing that got nerfed. Gold chests now require 30 instead of 25. This kind of makes sense because it goes 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 now. However, this does technically cost 5 more gold marks than it did previously to this patch. So I guess for consistency's sake, it works out. However, it is theoretically a nerf to gold marks. Now that you get technically less gold chests, but I guess it kind of makes sense. It was just probably an oversight on their part. And while we're here, this is the screen I'm looking for to go get our 2 wooden chests. So we can go and open up those and have them go into the little timer thingy. But while we're here, we might as well finish going through the rest of this menu. So bundles. Bundles are also pretty hit or miss. Luckily, there are some that are available for gold, which is insanely good value. I'm not sure if it's just random if it's available for gold or how exactly it works. We've only had one day, which is today as far as the cycle, so not exactly sure. However, today, all the way to the right, I'm not sure if other people had different things here, but there was an offer for like 3,000 gold, which is like 0 gold, or you know, any amount of gold is basically 0 gold. It can be 50,000 and it's basically 0 gold. But maybe not exactly, but you know, any number like under 20,000 is basically the equivalent of 0 gold with how gold currently works within the game and how little things there are to use it on. So this isn't bad. If we get something like this every single day, that's actually pretty decent. Like a gold key 5 iron, I highly doubt it. This one is questionable if it's worth it. I would say probably no. And the money one's definitely not. Though they did end up buffing it some, I believe, compared to what it offer was before. Though it being buffed from compared to before was a pretty low bar. All these for money aren't really too worth it. Ends up giving 5 of the 2 most useful ones, the weapon one and the pet one, and it gives 10 of the other 3. So overall, they're pretty bad value. However, if we go all the way to the right, we can see that there's some daily ones. The 3 for gems are pretty bad because if you have in your daily offer, they're already better value just to get off the daily offer. So no point in really getting these. Not sure exactly what the point is. Like, let me go for an example. If I go over to my daily deals, and for example, we have, this is tier 3, tier 4, I actually forget. It's kind of hard to read on this screen, actually. That's one of the bad things about it. You can't like hover over or click it to know the thingy anymore. What screen was I just in? Also finding it again, daily deals. So let's do a comparison based on this. So this one is the tier 3, I believe, right? No, tier 4. Wait, that's actually tier 4? Okay. So that's the tier 4 material. So let's go compare this tier 4 material to the other one. So basically for every 10, this costs 20 gems if we were to get this daily deal. And this is the tier 4. If we go compare it to the other tier 4, which is extremely overpriced for what it is, if we go all the way over here, which is why you shouldn't get these. Where is it? Shards. So why these aren't worth it for gems. This is the tier 4. And as you can see, instead of being 20 gems per 10, it is 40 gems per 10. Meaning that these 3 offers, assuming that they're, you know, the same like this, they are never worth it. They were already not worth it when they were in the daily shop for these lower amount of gems. And now they're basically like double the price here. So very much not worth it. However, these 2 all the way to the right, the 2 lowest ones, they're actually available for gold. So they're basically free, so make sure to pick those up. As far as evolution, pretty much everything here is useless because they cost either gems or actual money. Not to mention most of this material isn't even that useful to begin with. The only things that would be are necessarily are the glyphs and the relics. Because for whatever reason, all this other side crafting material is basically not non-existent, but there's like so much of it that there's no point in ever getting more of it, basically. So it's just glyphs and relics that are basically bottlenecking everything. And of course, there's no way to get them with gold. Actually, there's no way to even get them with gems here. There's really few valuable things to use gems for. One thing that is I wish this was daily and not weekly, but every single week it looks like you get a different crystal here. I already have Evelyn max, so getting an Evelyn crystal is pretty bad value. However, if this was like a Torgon crystal, I'd probably go for it. It'd be questionable if it was some other crystals, if it's worth it for 500 gems. But if this was Torgon crystal, which is the closest one we have to getting it max to 50, because the difference between having at 45 and 50 is pretty huge, because you start getting a chance at legendary at about a 1% chance, and that might not seem like much. However, if you're using that crafter every single day, or you know, if you're using that crafter constantly for an entire week, you're going to have a chance to get like 1 legend per week, potentially, from them. It would cost you pretty much all of your ore to invest into that specific crafter. However, getting a legend per week, pretty useful. Unfortunately, we still need like another 22 Torgons to end up doing that, so be a while. Hopefully, maybe we'll go in order. So maybe next time in 3 days, we'll end up getting the Torgon ones. Since he's the next one in cycle, I'm not sure exactly how to work. Money one's not really worth it, of course. This 5-hour bundle, I still feel like it's not really worth it. I think it's random color for the weapon, too. This food deal for the gems, not really too worth it. However, if this one was available through gems and not crowns, I probably would. It's 5 tickets and 5 of the other tickets. Battles still take so long in this game that they're kind of not horrible. So there's that going for it. But yeah, keep an eye on them because sometimes they're available through gold. And of course, all the normal stuff that you can collect through the free thing and the VIP rewards are just all in one single button now instead of having to click like twice, which is pretty annoying. So that's nice and has the timers shown there and everything. But overall, nice menu as far as changes, kind of meh. And they're trying to sell a billion things for $1 billion. Anyways, let's go set up our things over here. So I'm looking for not used. I forget if this was in the previous patch, but there is a lowest and combined with available for missions only. Yeah, this was in the previous patch. Also, wait, what on earth is that? Nmin? I broke it. What does Nmin mean? Well, we found a glitch. Let's see what happens if we click start mission. Nothing? Okay, nothing bad happens. That was weird. I'm not sure why I said Nmin. We broke the text somehow. Oh, it switched to Nmin again. That's so weird. It's being glitchy. What happens if we go out of this menu and come back in? And min again? No. Okay, that was weird. As long as it's open in about a minute. I mean, an hour. But anyways, so let's start talking about set bonuses. There's still a lot of things to cover, but set bonuses is probably the biggest thing that happened in the most recent patch. They definitely have to do a bit of rebalance on it. I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing that when they do all the gear rebalance. However, yeah, let's start getting into that. So one other nice thing that ended up coming with this is we now have more team slots as well. So you can actually name your team slots, as well as you have 8 of them now. Before you only had 3. Also, it's impossible for them to ever get shuffled now, which was a glitch that previously existed because, yeah, they are just in this nice little order now. So you're never going to have to worry about it just like randomly shuffling to the wrong location because now there's this screen for it. Which just was visually a little bit different, but it works good for the other menus, and being able to rename them is pretty convenient. So you might see all the way at the top here that we have 3 different categories, as well as every single gear is now marked with their typing. So of course, every single gear already was associated to a different faction, kingdom, whatever you want to call it, dungeon. And now whenever you use 2 or more of them, specifically 2, 4, or 6, you will end up getting a bonus for having them used together. And you can basically have as many as you want, up to how many you have. So let's see, you have 1, 2. Also keep in mind, spells do not count towards it, only specifically your gear. So there's 12 spots. So theoretically you could have 3 bonuses fully maxed out, or some kind of other mix, or not, actually it wouldn't be maxed out. You could actually only have 2 bonuses fully maxed out then. However, you could have a bunch of just 2 of them, or have basically you get 2, 4, or 6, and you can end up doing any combination of that with these amount of slots, all 12 of these. And keep in mind, not all gears cover every single slot. Every single set only covers 6 specific slots. Also, rings do not double stack, so you cannot use 2 rings to get the full amount of bonus. It is kind of like Gems of War, where you have to use a unique one. So if you want to use like 2 of a very broken ring for a specific set, you will not get the set bonus for doing so. I'm not sure if that's going to be consistent as far as going forward, but it seems like they will, because that's kind of how they did it with Gems of War to kind of balance it a bit. So it seems likely they would do it with Puzzle Quest as well. So, yeah, as you can see here, there are a bunch of different bonuses that you can get for a set. This is specifically the guard set, the first set you pretty much have access to when you first start out the game, and it ends up using these 6 pieces. As far as viable pieces here in the current state of the game, the 2 most viable are the shield, which got fixed as well as indirectly buffed by doing so. It has the highest block chance of anything in the entire game, and while it does diminish over time, and I believe can even delete your block chance if the battle goes for a very long amount of time, it is very effective at doing one really specific thing, and that is not dying on turn 1. And that is probably the most important thing in the current state of the game, as well as, the entirety of the beta so far, probably even when it launches. The importance of not dying on turn 1 against harder enemies is so absurdly important, which makes Guard Shield ridiculously good. And guess what? Having 2 sets, or 2 pieces of it, actually makes it even better, because it increases your block chance by 4% for each big gem on the board. And you might think, oh, there's not really that many good ways to get big gems on the starting board. There is now. There's a set that does that very exceedingly effectively, and it doesn't have too much overlap either with this. Plus, I believe it only requires 2 pieces to do, which means you could just go 2 pieces of this, or 4 if you want the extra armor, and then 2 pieces of the other thing, and you're already good to go to have an absurdly high chance of successfully landing your block. And then you do other block bonuses, like Alpha Dwarven and other sets that kind of have a high chance of getting block reduction. And you got yourself a turn 1 survive just off of a really high chance of block. But yeah, as you can see, it increases your chance of block for every single big gem on the board. Blocking basically just triggers a reduction in the amount of damage that you end up taking, basically just straight up damage mitigation. And this can be mitigated even further by perks on armor that ends up reducing it even more. And of course, armor is just good. You generally don't want your HP taking damage, because in all events you end up losing points whenever you do. But anyways, let's go and start from the top and go through every single set and just kind of do an overview of them, my thoughts on them, and just everything related to that. So we're going to go to the standard color ones and just start from the top of whatever shows here. So first set that we have here, you can't have 2 full bonuses because every set has a weapon. True! I didn't think about that. You are correct. It is actually impossible to have 2 full bonuses, because it requires the weapon for every single one. You are correct, actually, yes. I forgot about that. Because all 15 sets have a weapon currently, and probably always will going forward, which means, yeah, you are correct. I forgot about that. It is actually literally impossible to ever have 2 6 sets, meaning you could only ever have 1 based on your weapon. So for the most part, you're not really ever going to be using 6 sets. A lot of the perks for doing 6, kind of like level 100 Gems of War, seems pretty underwhelming in most categories. So very rarely would you actually go for it. But yeah, I actually completely forgot about it. You're correct on that. But anyways, let's start from the top. So yeah, do keep in mind, as far as 6 sets, you can only ever have 1 set because all of them do require a weapon. Though normally you're using it for the first 2 sets anyways, particularly the very first one, because the very first one's pretty strong on a lot of them, and because it only requires 2 pieces, is realistically the one that you're going to be using the most on many categories. But anyways, Dragon Guard set. This is from the 5th kingdom in the game. It gains +2 mana for each of your regular spells at the start of battle. I believe it increases by about 2 every single time you have a higher rarity. So keep in mind, whatever bonus we see here is based on having commons, and then it goes higher for rare, and then ultra rare, and as you keep going higher and higher, it keeps increasing. So any of these that you see like grayed out, like most of them that we will be seeing here, these are based on common, not based on higher rarities. And generally, you're going to be running at least like base rares in most situations, maybe even base epics, so probably not too much higher than that in the current state of the game. But realistically, you're going to be running like rares and epics, so it's going to be like 2 times, 3 times better than generally whatever is being shown here in most situations, or slightly higher to some degree, like double, triple, somewhere around there. Anyways, so yeah, you gain some extra starting mana for all your spells. Overall, pretty bad. However, it does have really good synergy with Book. Book gives you extra mastery, and mastery makes so you can end up accumulating more mana, and this can give you a nice big burst of mana accumulation on turn 1. Also gives you some damage for your color. So overall, it does have synergy with it, though not really too enticing. Increasing damage of all elemental damage bonuses can be okay. Obviously, whatever you're using ends up just gaining additional damage. Probably best with like Dark overall. I do feel like this is, I don't know, Necromancer wouldn't really use it much, even though I do have a blue book that kind of worked out for. I feel like Shaman, like ones that already have really high spell damage are probably going to be good with this. So currently Shaman and Assassin then. So basically purple and green are probably the 2 best colors. And guess what? We got a green epic version. So yeah, unfortunately I don't really have any other component to really work with it. But yeah, overall, it's okay. Nothing really too special here. And if you have all 6 of them, increases all elemental resistance. Not really worth it. This full set together is a really bad set. There's really only 2 pieces that are currently really good in it, and that is the Tome and the Helm. The Helm gives you a bunch of mana when you're using different color spells, and which currently don't really have much restriction, so that's can actually be okay in some situations, especially if you're trying to like cheese getting full mana in PvP. I know some people have been getting leaderboard on it. I still don't have a good enough setup to do it consistently or even at all, so I haven't been. But yeah, you can get in some extra points in PvP that way and end up like doubling the amount of gems if you end up hitting that 500 instead of the 250. But overall, as far as the set currently, only the book and the Helm are pretty good, with the book in the current state of the game probably being the most useful thing from that set. So overall, not really too useful of a set. Speaking of not useful sets, we got ourselves the Elven Bow. I believe this is like the 12th kingdom in the game, 11th. I forget exactly where some of them are located. I know it's towards the end. It's one of the later ones that you get. However, this set's pretty bad. As far as bonuses, though, the Elven Boots can get some pretty nice bonuses. It can end up getting like things like crit and stuff like that. So it has that going for it. But most of these things, not really too good. The one that's the most useful is Elven Charm, because it gives a bunch of additional mana whenever you do red-yellow. As far as its benefits, nothing really too special, starting with extra mana for your ultimate spell, and that probably goes up to like 14, 15 or so when at Mythic, so nothing too enticing there, pretty small numbers. Heroic Effect has a 25% chance to be 2 turns longer. I believe this percent chance increases up to about 55% if you end up having Epic, so it has that going for it. Overall, not really too enticing. Heroic Effect is only 2 turns normally, and the first turn, I believe, is effectively the turn in which you activate it, so technically only lasts for 1 turn, as in the following turn after you did the Heroic. So having it last for 2 more turns can kind of be okay. It's a pretty big power boost. However, using 4 pieces from the set is pretty bad, because a lot of things from the set are awful. Like at most, you're probably going to be using like Elven Charm and Elven Boots. That's like the most you're ever going to be using from the set, which would only get you the first perk, so nothing too good. And if you somehow, for whatever reason, ran all 6, you would end up gaining more mana when matching gems, which isn't really worth it, because even if this goes up to like 50%, why not just use haste? You can use boots that give you haste, or any other mechanic that gives you haste, which doubles it. I'm not sure how this interacts with haste, or even if haste is even currently properly working, because I know it wasn't in the past. But haste effectively doubles the amount of mana you accumulate. So what's the point of having a full set to gain like a small percent when you could literally have an effect that doubles? So yeah, it's a pretty bad set in the current state of the game. Night Wand. So this set, a lot of these pieces, except for like the ring, were like completely useless prior to this patch. And I'm not sure if they overcompensated the set for that purpose, but this set is insane now. There's a 35% chance to create 2 purple gems when casting a spell. The gem amount does not increase, but the percent chance that happens does increase. So that goes up to like 75, 85 or so percent when you get to Mythics. Realistically, with Epics, that's like what, 65, 75%, or somewhere around there? Let's say 65. So you have like a 2 in 3 chance when you're using it with just 2 epics, so that's probably going to be 1 ring, and ideally the boots that I scrapped. No, the purple boots. I do still have the helm, but then you can't use the other helm. I can't remember if I still have this. I had this in epic earlier too. I scrapped the rare of this. But as far as this set, it's definitely going to be like Nightband with something. Probably Nightband with boots, because boots is a pretty bad category overall, and I can't believe I scrapped those boots though. But yeah, it's most likely going to be those 2, I would say, because there's better helms. Everything else is going to have better options for the most part. So it's probably going to be 1 Nightband with, or probably 2 Nightbands, just because Nightband scales really well, with 1 boots. Basically this will give you the chance to end up creating purple every single time you cast a spell. This is every time you cast a spell. So you have 4 spells up, not even counting ultimate meter. And if you have a 66% chance, the chance that you're hitting 2 of them is exceedingly high. Realistically, you might even hit 3. But let's just say you only hit 2. That's going to be 4 extra purple spam on top of everything else you're already able to do. And yeah, this is going to drastically increase the chance that you're actually going to be able to land extra turn on the starting board, or on any board. It lasts for the entire battle. On top of that, if you're using 4 of them, it doesn't have that bad of an ability either. Actually, all 3 of these are pretty solid. But when you're using 4 of them, there's a 25% chance to gain 10 mana for your ultimate spell when casting a regular spell. And I assume the percent chance increases as it goes higher, not the actual amount of mana accumulated. This is okay. There are other ways to get ultimate meter up. However, since you're likely going to be using 1 or both of your ring slots as this, and not necessarily using the other thing that ends up giving you special meter, this is a pretty nice way to kind of make up for that, since you're most likely, if you're using this build, going to be using 2 Nightbands anyways, in both ring slots. So is that going for it, if nothing else? But overall, yeah, it's basically just a way to get ultimate meter a little bit quicker. It's still going to be pretty nice, because it does end up doing it every single time when you end up casting a spell. So, of course, on most turns, you're going to be able to cast 4 spells. So, realistically, when this has like a 50-something% chance, you're going to basically gain 20 meter. And if this actually does accumulate the mana correctly, it doesn't like glitch out the icon, which hopefully they fix in this most recent patch. They said they did. I haven't tested to see if they have. But assuming, let's just say it has been fixed, that basically means on your turn, if you're a little bit short for the next special, like if you want to spawn like 6 gems instead of 4, and you just need that little bit of extra, it could definitely close that gap. 20 is quite a bit. It requires 120 to get the full effect, right? If I'm not mistaken. Because it goes 60, 50, 40. Oh, wait, what does that end up totaling to? That's actually higher, isn't it? That's like 130. Somewhere's around there. But anyways, or is that 150? Math. But anyways, it's 60 for the first one, so if you just like need it, and you're like, oh, I'm at 45 out of 60, and it's like you cast like all your spells, and it's like, oh, I have my ability now, let me go do that. Unfortunately, that's going to be a little bit weird with purple, because generally with how purple works is if you're using assassin, you want to cast your special meter before you cast your other spells. So it's going to be a little bit weird in the sense that you're going to gain your ultimate meter after the fact in most situations where you're realistically using this set. So it's a little bit of a weird interaction that way, but it'll still help you in the following turn if nothing else. But you can also use it to cheese to get, you know, like a little bit more on the turn of and do it that way. And when you have the full set, there's a 3% chance to feel your purple spells when matching 4 or more purple gems. This is pretty useless because if you're already matching 4 or more purple gems, you're probably going to be in a state where you're pretty much just getting full mana anyways for your purple spells. A lot of purple spells were rescaled in the previous patch as well, so that they have a lower amount of mana cost. So you can end up just doing full mana pretty easily now on purple spells, unless you're using some kind of big purple spell. But Assassin doesn't really have any big purple spells. His best purple spell was on Paladin, but as of a couple patches ago, you can't use it anymore on Assassin. So yeah, he doesn't really have any like super high mana cost spells to really justify doing that with. So overall, you're never going to be using this full set. However, the first bonus is insanely broken, and the second bonus, don't nerf it though, please. Assassin needs it to even be remotely viable. Even with it, he's not like even worth using, just because Paladin is just insanely broken for not dying. But when it comes to damage output, I believe Assassin actually has one of the highest damage outputs in the game now, mostly because of this. And this actually helps a little bit too, but mostly because of that. Like double Nightband into like these boots, and then using a bunch of the other perks that we're about to see. Pretty solid. So guard is really good at not dying, and you're probably always going to want to use at least 2, because the amount of block chance you have is so absurdly high for turn 1 that you're basically going to be like getting so many more battles just by having this. You just have 2 guard pieces and then have a bunch of different armors that end up mitigating how much damage you take. Like let's say like 20, 30, 40% or so. Let's even just say like 33%. Let's just say like the average about those. So let's say, actually that's a little bit high. Let's say just say 20%. So let's just say you have a bunch of side gear that has 20% additional block, and that adds up. If you have like a 50% chance because of all this extra block chance to end up hitting your 20% reduction on top of that other reduction, you're basically mitigating their attack by like what, a quarter or so, which might not seem like much, but that's generally enough combined with all of your armor to make sure you don't die. On top of that, if you happen to be able to squeeze in 4, you also get additional armor bonus. This at Epic, I believe, is around, I want to say 15% or so. Because I know in the Resistance one, I believe it was around 14% for having 2 epics, and this one's for 4. So I assume this is around the same. So it's around 14% or so armor for having 4 epics on for the guard set. So that's not horrible. Realistically, if you're going to be running 4, you're going to be running the body, the shoulders, the gloves, and the shield. If you're running 2, you're going to be running a shield with probably gloves. I'm currently running this because I'm running a different gloves right now in most sets. But I do have the epic version of it if I really needed to. I really need epic version of that though. But basically, yeah, if you're running 2, it's probably this in gloves. If you're running 4, it's probably these 4 because you want your weapon to be a better weapon. And the belt, I forget what it does, but I believe it's just extra gold, so it's pretty useless. So, yeah, just that. So if you have 4, you end up gaining extra armor. And if you happen to have the full set, which isn't an awful full set, but it ends up increasing your power when enemy is defeated. No battle is really long enough to justify doing this. Even if this was 10% of epics, the amount of value that you would get from it's pretty minuscule compared to just using a better weapon. So overall, not really that worth it. However, the 2 set and the 4 set are really good. And the 2 set is pretty much mandatory, I would say. If you're taking on like level 100 content, or even just want to just not die as often or ever, you definitely want to be running 2, the shield and something. Like this is like the must-have shield ever since they end up fixing the glitch that it had like a patch or 2 ago. And now it's even stronger combined with that. Anyways, also, any questions in chat? Sorry, I haven't been reading chat too much, but hello, Nightmare. Hello, Cookie. Hello, Tyrian. Hello, Isabel. Hello, Traductus. Hello, Sibilis, and welcome everyone else. Also, hello. Yes, a little late to the party, but you still made it. We'll be going for a while. We'll probably going for like another 2-3 hours. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and then we'll probably mess with all the dailies, and then probably mess with some hundreds. I hope I identified S-Guard as S tier, obviously. Oh, yes. S-Guard is like S++ tier. It needs to definitely be nerfed, and they definitely need to not nerf the Knight set or the Savior set. Savior set needs to never... Actually, no. Savior set's not the really broken one. It's Royal. Royal's really funny. I still can't even believe what they did with Royal. It is hilarious. We'll get to it soon. Hopefully it will not get nerfed because it's pretty hilarious. Anyways, next set, Bone Set. So Bone Set has a really weird first perk because there's actually a different set that has a better version of this, which is really weird because this is the really skull-oriented set. So you think like, oh, it'll probably have like the best skull abilities. It does not. It does as an overall set, like the amount of things skull-related that it ends up doing. However, it's pretty bad in the sense that there's a perk on one of the other ones that basically does like all 3 of these better. Like in combination, just that one perk does basically the 3 of these better as its very first one. So this set as a whole is pretty bad. Most situations, you're not going to be using more than 2. If you're going to be using them, you're probably using Sickle with Bone Ring. In most situations, if you're going to bother be doing it. The other situation is you might be doing all the ones that spawn skulls, which is these 4, if I'm not mistaken, because this just gives you extra mana and just gives you terror. So these 4, I believe, are all skull-oriented. I forget what this one. This might just be extra resistance. So there's really only 3. So yeah, you're not really going to be using too many from this set. Like 2 at most. So probably like Sickle with maybe the pants or Sickle with the gloves. There's a lot of other better gloves, so you're probably going to use Sickle with pants. Doesn't pants give skull? I can't remember what pants does. Actually, I don't even think I have a spare pants. Do I? I might have an epic one laying around. I actually forgot off the top of my head. Oh gosh, I forgot. It saves this thing for every single set. Let me go double check. I want to double check what the pants do. Don't I have any yellow? Yeah, I do. Oh, it just gains you some armor. Yeah, it's not that relevant. Never mind. So is it only the gloves that give skulls then? That's weird. Oh yeah, so Bone Set's pretty bad then. It was already known that was pretty bad, but even worse than I was initially thinking. But yeah, I really don't see any situation where you'd really want more than that then, because there's better gloves for damage if you want skull. Like if you want additional skull damage, you're not running bone gloves. But overall, set's pretty bad. There's just a chance to end up creating skull at the start of your turn, which technically synergizes with Bone Ring a little bit, but It doesn't give enough mana to really justify it. You also get some healing when you're up against undead or defeating them. However, if you're not up against undead, what's the point? And if you end up getting a big skull, gems have a chance to be 3 times larger, which overall is not going to be too useful. If you're already skull spamming like crazy, you're probably getting X size skull gems anyways. So 3 sizes bigger is, unless you're doing a lot of smaller ones deliberately. So I guess you can kind of do that strategically, where you're like trying to get a lot of 4s and, a lot of 5s, and you're not trying to necessarily try to get the really big X's. And then you just get a lot of big ones that way. You end up spawning even more off a sickle, and then you just kind of go crazy that way, I guess. Because sickle ends up creating a skull based on... oh, wait. Okay, there is actually one good purpose for this. I forgot. If this works correctly with the interaction of Sickle, Sickle creates a skull gem based on a higher amount based on the skull that you take, or the green, or the color that you take. So let's say green, because realistically you're only going to be using this probably on Shaman. So let's say it's green. And you end up getting, well, there are a couple other career classes that can kind of get away with it with how it's scaled. But anyways, let's just say it's green. You end up taking like 4 green, ends up creating a skull. Let's say you have it upgraded to Epic. I think Epic makes it go up by 2. So you would end up getting a skull of 3. And then that skull has a chance of being 6. So you just took a 4 times green that basically just created you a 6 skull onto the board. Is that worth it? Not really for the full set. It does have an interesting interaction, assuming it works correctly. I have a feeling it does not work correctly, though. So next we have Esgard set. Esgard is very bad. Honestly, all 6 of these are basically useless. I'm not sure why they exist or why this exists. It is like probably the worst set in the game. It increases healing boost, which is pretty irrelevant, though it does have synergy with the other healing boost. It ends up healing your max HP at the start of your turn, which you're already stacking healing on healing. You already have healing. And while on top of additional healing, you basically just have like infinite healing, which isn't too useful. And then there's a 25% chance to reduce any negative stats effect duration to 1 turn. This is somewhat okay, but to use this awful of a set just to have that, pretty bad. Probably one of the worst sets in the game. Next, we have Bloodfang set. Really good weapon. Everything else from the set, not too good. Though it does have additional ways to freeze once you get to 4. And this has pretty good synergy with gloves, because the gloves do additional damage when you freeze. So it makes it so you don't necessarily have to use a shield, which is a pretty bad shield. Because before, the set didn't really have a proper way to freeze unless you had an ability for it. But now you can by... this set's pretty good in blue. So if you're doing like... if you have like the weapon in blue, which I don't, unfortunately... But if you have like the weapon in blue with like the body, which creates more blue, with the gloves that ends up doing more damage when they're frozen, with like 1 more, either the shoes or the other thing. Shoes can actually stack a lot. If these shoes ever get buffed, this could be good. Like if speed ever became relevant, this set of 4 could be okay. The big issue is that speed is, you're just going to stack so much useless speed. So realistically, if you're going to be running the set in 4, you're going to be running with the weapon, the body, the shoulders, and I forget what shoulders even do. I think it's just ice resistance, and the gloves. With the only 3 useful ones being the weapon, the body, and the gloves. The other 3 are pretty bad, but of course you need 4 to do 4. But anyways, it gives you ice resistance when you have blue gems on the board. Overall, not too good, but it does synergize with the ice resistance you already have, so you have even more ice resistance. However, the main thing that you would use from this set is there's a chance to inflict freeze on the enemy for a bunch of turns. This might not seem that good, however, the main benefit of this is it allows you to not need to use a freeze spell when you're using pure blue. And this is actually pretty useful because it allows you to get the additional damage from Bloodfang gloves. And it basically frees up a whole spell, so you don't have to dedicate a spell necessarily to freezing, and it makes it just more consistent. Overall, not the greatest of perks, but it synergizes really well with everything else that it has going on. And at the start of a turn, if there's 8 or more blues, it ends up creating whatever on earth that is. I assume that means 2 skulls. It's written as 2% skull gems, but I assume that means 2, which overall, not really too useful. There's other ways to do that, and there's a set that does it way better. So, Warlord. This is a very funny set, because it has so much damage. If you want to go skull build, this is like the way to go skull build now. So there are 2, I forget if these things work correctly. I know there was a glitch for the longest time that ended up making it weird. But there are, I guess, 3 that are kind of pretty okay here. It's the weapon, which is kind of meh. The belt, which is decent. And then this, which can be decent, at least in the set. The head's okay. So if you're going to go for 4, you're probably going for those 4. Based on what I have, if I'm going to go for 4, I'm probably going shield, that, and that. But the strongest 4, if you're going for a set of 4, is probably going to be the weapon, the helm, and the glove thingy, which I assume they fixed a glitch on this on. I have not tested. But anyways, it increases power by 1% for every skull on the board, and of course I increase it with more. Overall, not the greatest. That's not the main reason why you're using this. The two main reasons why you're using this are the final 2 perks, especially if you go all 4. So it increases critical hit damage by quite a lot for having 4 of them. This is pretty relevant because if I'm not mistaken, these gloves also increase your critical hit damage. So basically, whenever you hit a crit, you're just going to be hitting for a ridiculously high amount. But the main reason why this is going to be actually pretty decent is the very final perk. It increases your critical hit chance. Of course, there are other gloves that you can end up doing that already end up doing this, as well as other weapons that can end up doing this, and this weapon does neither of those 2 things. However, the amount of extra critical hit chance seems like it increases by about 5% probably every single tier, which means by epic, that would end up being, what, 25%? The amount of extra critical that you can end up getting from this is flat without needing any other condition, is basically just a better version of Dwarven gloves. And you just end up getting that in total, and basically every, like, 3rd hit, you're going to be hitting for a critical, essentially. Because, of course, you could still have critical modifiers on them as well. So, you know, gear that has additional critical chance. So, like, every 3rd hit, you're pretty much just going to be hitting a critical if you had, like, base epics for the full set. Even at rare, it'd still be pretty close to that. And, yeah, you still have a couple other good benefits. You have a way to gain power. You have, the weapon's pretty bad, though. The helm, I believe, gives a better upgrade to the gems that you do. It, like, increases the... Oh, no, I think it increases a big gem size every single turn, which basically makes it so your necklace or, you know, the barrier thing will end up being better and stuff like that. But overall, yeah, it is basically just for doing an absurd amount of skull damage. Pretty much any really heavy skull related build that's building set related is probably going to try incorporating it, since it has the extra damage, already has other things that incorporate into skulls. So definitely has potential. And given that skulls are pretty strong right now, has quite a lot of potential. There are a lot of components individually that can end up doing it better, though, like Bloodfang Weapon, as well as Dwarven Gloves, ends up kind of doing the same thing. So if you want to do it without a set while still doing other sets, you can. However, Warlord's set overall, when the skulls are meta, are probably going to be one of the strongest sets in the game whenever skulls are like super strong at any given time, even though other weapons can somewhat do the same thing. But if you get lucky and can get like a full set of epic on it, should be pretty solid. Anyways, especially in red. Obviously, the main color that you'd want to get this in, I'm not sure if I've been mentioning colors much for these. However, Dragon Guard Tome is pretty much any color. Elven Bow is useless. Night Wand is purple. Guards can be done in any. Bone Sickle is generally going to be used for green or blue. Elguard Flail is used for no one. Bloodfang set is used for blue. Warlord set is used for red. And Jeweled Orb is used for yellow. So, next one, we have Jeweled set. So, Jeweled set. Overall, it's okay. It has a % chance every single time at the beginning of its turn to convert a purple to a yellow. And, of course, this goes pretty high. It's pretty much the same %, I believe, that the Knight set gets, except it's per turn instead of per cast. So, it has that going for it. As far as actually useful things, there's pretty much only 2 that are really useful from the set. Actually 3. So it's going to be a little bit hard to kind of get a 4th. But there are 3 that are pretty good. The gloves do extra damage too. I wish it would tell you what it does when you click on it, but it doesn't. Maybe they will at some point. But the jeweled gloves give you extra damage to blinded. This is pretty relevant for 2 reasons. One is yellow has a lot of ways to blind the enemy. And for 2, the orb itself can also just straight up blind the enemy. So pretty good synergy, literally just that with that. You already have a blind going on. But the shield. The shield is a pretty relevant shield, only in yellow. Of course, everything here is pretty much only relevant in yellow, which I will hopefully we get a way to change colors in the future, but as well as modifiers. But basically, this shield, whenever you block, ends up creating a bunch of yellow. So let's say, for example, using 2 guard pieces. Using 2 guard pieces will increase the amount of block you have based on how many big gems are on the board. And you end up combining that, so you have a higher block chance when you end up doing this, and ends up creating, I believe, 3 yellow gems at epic. So you're going to get 3 every single time you block, which basically means every single time the enemy attacks you, if you have enough block chance, or like every 3rd turn or so. Basically, you're almost getting like 1 extra yellow per turn onto the board by doing this, combined with the other thing that's also going to half the time give you an additional yellow. Going to be quite a bit extra yellow. And on top of that, you get the extra versus blinded. You have the extra blind thing as well, which reduces their damage by half or whenever they do skulls. So pretty nice there. Light resistance, pretty meh. And whenever you have the full thing of Lex blind on the enemy for 2 turns when matching a bunch of yellows, overall pretty bad because you already have a lot of ways to do it. Basically, if you're using this, you're using it probably with 2 pieces. And those 2 pieces are either going to be any combination of the orb, the gloves, and the shield, which specifically depends pretty much on what you have. I do have this in legendary, oddly enough, though. Not too useful because I believe I don't have it in yellow. But yeah, these are the only 3 really good ones from the set currently, and you're pretty much just going to be doing it with 2 that are specifically yellow. So, Royal sets. This is probably the strongest set in the entire game. Not because of these items, though that one's pretty broken. That's like literally the only good one. But because of these items. So, the first one is probably the most hilarious one. Hopefully it does not get nerfed, because this one is probably the entire meta until next patch. It creates big gems with a 50% chance to be... Oh, wait. No, mind, sorry. It's the second set that does the best one. My bad. Okay, so it's not the very first one. You have to actually have 4. My bad. But, oh, I was going to say that would have been way too broken. But you do actually need 4 pieces. My bad. But the first one is big gems have a 50% chance to be 1 size bigger. It's okay. It's actually a somewhat similar mechanic to that one off a Warlord set, except it has a lot more chances to occur. Because I believe the Warlord set happens once per turn, but it's guaranteed. But this is percent chance. Though I believe it's like 100% once you have it fully maxed. Anyways, the main reason why you would use Royal is for this one right here. It converts a bunch of mana gems to big 3 gems at the start of battle. Do keep in mind, these do overwrite the 5 gems. So if you're using the other helm of the other set, the Savior set, that ends up creating a bunch at the start of battle. It creates the 5s first, and then it creates the 3s. So it will overwrite it with these 3s. However, if you do them in combination, apparently I haven't done a battle for so long that we're considered inactive. Really, game? I'm literally doing things. I hate that so much. I'm not sure why that's even a thing. But if you do like nothing for like 30 minutes, it's like, oh, you've been inactive. We'll get back to that screen. It's the best set, ignoring the... I know. The weapon... I'm not sure what they did with that weapon. They like buffed it out of nowhere to be like crazy strong, and then, yeah. Like the set in general was like pretty meh. And then they were like, let's go make this weapon insane, and then let's go make the set insane. Anyways, where's the thingy? I highly doubt they watch these anyways. And if they are, they're probably taking notes. There's so many other things they need to be balancing. Like, most of these are, like, horrifically bad sets that are never going to be used. So more so, those need to be made better, not the strong sets being made worse. Like, they need to make the worst ones good before they make the bad one, or the good ones bad. Anyways, where were we? Before it kicks us again for inactivity. Yet it still saved our search, oddly enough. So, Royal set. So, where were we? So, it converts 2 mana gems, big gem, to big 3 gems. So, the main thing about big 3 gems, there's a lot of things that are relevant about this. For one, they count as a big gem, just the fact that they are a big gem. So, this synergizes with every single thing that triggers whenever a big gem is taken. So, it already has insanely good value from that. The main relevant with it being at least a big 3 gem is that you can barrier off of it. So you can just gain barrier on turn 1, basically guaranteed. So turn 1 mitigation is now irrelevant. You just go run 4 royal sets, you run the other trinket, and boom, you just have barrier. Especially if you're running it with Savior Helm, because you have so many chances that even if you only had a 20% chance off your Dwarven thing, because you only have it at Epic, let's say if you even have it at Rare, 10%, you're going to be taking so many 10% that you're pretty much already going to be getting it, but especially if you have it at least Epic. I believe mine's at Legend right now. It's like, what, 30%? 40%? I can't remember. But Epic, I believe, is 20%. So let's just go with that. Even at 20%, you're going to have... this is 5, I believe, at Rare. Is it that Rare or Epic? Which I might have had at base Epic. So I think it was 5. So you're getting that, plus everything that you're getting off of Savior. And even with the overlap, you're going to be getting like 8 chances on the board. 20% chances. The chance that you're going to be hitting that on turn 1 is so absurdly high, assuming you can actually get them matched, because there's a chance you might not be able to get them all matched. But that is just an absurdly high chance you're going to gain barrier turn 1, which basically means you get to live, which means you auto win the battle. Because it's pretty much how the game works. Survive turn 1, you win. That is how most battles work in this game. So yeah, that's ridiculously good. So yeah, having 4 of these, really, really good, especially with the weapon. Weapon gains a bunch of power every single time you just take a bunch of the color. So as long as you have the correct color one and a high enough rarity for you, you're just gaining a ridiculously high amount of power. Everything else from this set, pretty bad though. Ideally, if you're using a set, I forgot what the helm does, but you're probably using these 4, I guess. Let's have our ring spot open. The ring's pretty bad. Honestly, most things other than the weapon's pretty bad from this set. The 2 things, I believe, give elite protection. This can like stack infinite elite protection. Though I'm not even sure if elite protection even works properly in the current state of the game, so it's not really too relevant. And aside from that, if you happen to use the full set, which I don't think you ever would, because you generally don't want to use the helm, because if you're using this, you're using it for the big gems, and then you're using the other helm for even more big gems. But it increases your power by 2% for every big gem on the board, and of course that goes even higher based on the number, and you're already going to have 1 billion big gems on the board because of how the second thing works. So overall, not too bad. Royal Sword, Long Sword's kind of carrying it, and the second ability is probably one of the strongest in the entire game. Not the absolute strongest, though. But pretty high up there. So Dwarven set. The Dwarven pieces are all pretty decent.
The biggest issue is the Dwarven set itself is pretty bad. So the first one, if your enemy or yourself is burning, there's a really high chance, probably 100% once you have the final set, to gain 5 mana for all your spells at the start of your turn. 5 mana is basically 0 mana, so that is extremely irrelevant. Plus it has the condition of them being burned. Even if that was like 20 mana at Epic, I'm not sure that would still even be relevant, unless it also did your special meter, in which case it might be okay. So I assume that also does special meter. If that 5 goes into special, I guess that's a little bit better, but still pretty underwhelming. Matching any big red gem heals you for a bunch of your life. This can be okay. This is mostly only going to be good in side modes where you might end up getting poked, and you kind of need that insta-heal to kind of do it. However, I believe this heal triggers before burn, so it's not really going to be too relevant for kind of getting around that. Overall, pretty bad. And if you had the full set, it just increases your elite protection. So pretty much all 3 of these, pretty horrible, unfortunately, because Dwarven items are actually insanely good. The boots give you armor and are probably one of the only few boots that does something relevant because all of them do speed. And even though the armor scaled so horribly in the current state of the game, it is still something better than gaining speed. So there's that going for it. The gloves basically give you infinite crit, which is nice, without having to use Warlord set. So if you want to use a crit build that doesn't necessarily use Warlord, you have that. Shoulders are pretty bad, but I just happen to have them in Epic, so I'm just using them. The Dwarven necklace is pretty much the entire meta of the game, so that's a thing. So that's nice. This can be good if you're using a pure red set. It ends up having a chance to create big 5 red gems, so it has that going for it. And the hammer has stuns. I personally don't like hammer. However, it is one of the most consistent weapons for not taking damage. So this combined with just even the hammer combined alone with that, with like 2 other things, it's really going to mitigate down how much damage you take while also having to heal. But I'm pretty sure if most people are going to be doing this, they're going to be doing it with hammer and necklace. Personally, if I'm going to be doing this, I'm probably going to be doing it with necklace and gloves, just because the initial crit, and these boots I kind of just always keep on because there's nice kind of solid boots that don't have speed. And then I just have that because why not? I had nothing else there, so we just happen to have that. Realistically, you're never going to be using more than 2 from this set, though, which would give you some extra mana at the start of your turn if you're either are burning, which is most likely going to be hammer into necklace in most situations, or necklace into anything. Anyways, next we have Firewalker. Firewalker is a little interesting, mostly because of ring. Unfortunately, I don't have anything really here in red, except the shield, which I scrapped, which I used to have in Epic. So Firewalker as a set actually isn't horrible. And the perks that I get also aren't horrible. So there's a chance that ends up creating a red at the start of his turn. This is okay. It's not too good, but it does have great synergy with Firewalker Ring, which creates a billion infinite number of reds whenever you start your turn, so that's nice. Ends up doing, I think, 3 at Legendary and 2 at Epic. So you end up getting a ridiculously high amount of reds onto the board with the chance of having even more red onto the board. So how's that going for it? You're going to be getting a lot of reds. Obviously, this whole set is pretty much only ever going to be used in pure red. You end up inflicting burn on an enemy for 2 turns when matching 6 or more red gems. So this has some pretty good synergy because a lot of these pieces don't necessarily overlap with Dwarven set. So you're probably going to be able to have 4 with Dwarven and 4 with this pretty consistently in many situations, if you really want to go all in into that like solid red build. So it has that going for it. 2 really heavy red sets that can basically be synergized together and have pretty good overlap with what they end up doing. So this can basically supply your burn, and the other thing, it does all the other effects. And the other thing that ends up doing is it gain haste for 2 turns when casting your ultimate spell. So haste, this is actually pretty decent. This set might be used literally just for this purpose in many situations. The main reason for this is haste, assuming it even works correctly. I'm not sure if it does in the current state of the game. But in theory, what it's supposed to do is it doubles the amount of mana accumulation that you do. And of course, because mana costs are so ridiculously high ever since they reworked it the previous patch prior to this patch, having double the amount of mana accumulation is pretty strong. The only bad thing about this is the boots already do this. Pretty low chance, but the boots do already have a chance of doing this. However, this is pretty nice because it's literally a 100% chance I'll end up doing it. And I assume the amount of turns it lasts for increases based on rarity, basically meaning that once you do this once, for the rest of the battle, you will have double mana accumulation. So if you can get your special meter up very, very quickly by having one of these rings on and the other ring that increases your special meter, and you end up doing that and just get your special meter up just ridiculously quick, you have a pretty okay kind of build going here. The only big issue is almost all these are irrelevant without going pure red, because this forces you to have to do red. I think this is something red related. It might even be burn. This you have to use with red. So you already have, I think this even triggers based on red. So you already have like half the set needing red. This, I believe, is resistance based on how many reds are on the board. So it's really red heavy. It's basically the bottom line. Good synergy with Dwarf. And overall, if it's being used pretty much entirely for haste
and pretty much no other purpose other than haste and its red synergy. So next is Savior set. So Savior is, yeah, very good. Obviously Savior helm, arguably the best helm in the entire game. Ends up creating a bunch of 5 gems. Not only can you stun with this off of Dwarven Hammer, you can also gain barrier off of it, off of Dwarven Amulet thing. Plus you just gain 1 billion mana from it, plus it triggers every other effect that triggers based on big gem. So it has all that going for it. So really ridiculously strong helm that basically shapes most builds that aren't specifically PvP trying to get full mana on turn 1 builds. Basically every other build in the entire game is essentially running Savior helm. So really, really strong helm. Increases, first thing that it gets is extra resistances. Resistance is kind of hit and miss on if it's really that viable. Of course, armor is the better stat. Basically, as far as priority, it's kind of weird because it's basically the exact opposite of Gems of War. But in this game, armor is the best stat in the game. Resistance is your second best, and HP is, oddly enough, the worst stat, which is really funny because Gems of War is literally the exact opposite with how the game works. So I guess they kind of a little overcompensated with this game and literally inverted it. But yeah, armor's really good, and resistance kind of in the mid-range there. Not as useful because most things, you know, when they're doing their auto attack, they're going to be hitting physically. However, there are a lot of instances where this will end up being good. They also end up rebalancing something that makes it a little bit better too. Not only have spells and everything been rebalanced a little bit on enemies in the most recent patch, however, they also do not do additional damage based on your typing. I believe when you do PvP, that's still the case. However, in like events and other side modes, or, you know, a good majority of the game, when you're fighting like actual enemies, they no longer do additional damage based on your typing. So let's say, for example, you were purple and you would take extra from yellow before. You no longer take extra damage from yellow. Before, it would do like double damage to you or whatever it was. I believe that's still the case in PvP, but it's not the case in pretty much every other location in the game. So having higher resistance can still be good because you can end up mitigating it so they don't touch your HP ideally. So that's not horrible. And it's 14% of epic, so not too bad. Which makes me think it's 14% for the armor for the other thing too, which would be pretty good for the other set, to save the armor set, the guardian set. Anyways, the second bonus, pretty bad. Ends up increasing healing boost by 1% for each yellow gem on the board. Nothing really too relevant there. I believe at Epic that would be like, what, 4%? So nothing really too special. And the other one that's kind of interesting, when you have the full set, there's a 10% chance to get barrier when matching any big gem. So assuming that goes up by 10% each time, I feel like it should be 5, but if that is 10%, Epic is 40%, which basically means that's essentially just, what's it called? You essentially have Dwarven Amulet without using Dwarven Amulet. So there's that going for it, because you do have to specifically use this amulet. So you won't have access to specifically using Dwarven Amulet, but that's effectively what it does, assuming it goes up by 10%. Even if it's 5%, it's still not bad. But if it is 10%, it's basically the Dwarven, okay, it is 5%. That's still pretty decent, though. So at Epic, that's what? 30% then, right? Because 10% for common, 15%, then 20. Oh, it's 25%. It's 25% for epics. So if you had the full set of epic, it's 25%, which isn't exactly the same because Dwarven, I believe I'm getting, what, 30% chance from? But it's still pretty high. Like, if you don't have, like, if your Dwarven Amulet's currently epic rarity, it's better to have a full set of epic Savior than it is to have epic Dwarven Necklace. So there's that. So it's still pretty relevant. Even at 5%. Yeah, 10% would have been too broken, I was going to say. Okay, that makes sense then. That's 5%. But yeah, it's not bad at all. And that's every single time you match any big gem, which is also relevant because Dwarven Necklace is specifically 3 or higher. This is literally any. So even if it's only a 1 big gem or a 2 big gem, it will still count it. Unlike Dwarven, which specifically requires 3 or higher. So overall, Savior set, pretty solid. As far as things that are actually useful from it, the helm is like the full list. The shield I found to be pretty underwhelming, mostly because you have to take damage for it to even have a chance of triggering, so it's normally not too relevant. The only other thing that's somewhat okay is this the staff that refunds some of your mana. However, mana cost is too high for it to really be relevant in the current state of game. But this weapon and premise can be good. It's just it's scaled way too low, kind of like many gear in the game. Pretty much the only item that exists is Savior Helm from this set. However, the full set basically is like running Dwarven. Like if you somehow have all 6 of these in Epic, but you don't have Epic Dwarven Necklace, like this is your build basically, just because of how much value you get from it. And it's even better than Epic Dwarven Necklace. And if you somehow have these Legends, it's better than Legend Necklace. So yeah, it has some potential. Definitely has potential. Anyways, especially once they rebalance everything that isn't Helm. Anyways, next is Serpentine. Serpentine has one. Oops, I did not mean to equip that. Fail. I want the other thing back on. Oh, I'll fix it later. But anyways, where were we? Serpentine. Guess I'm having to hold this weapon for now. But anyways, as far as this set, it has one good thing going for it, and that is it gets to inflict poison onto your enemy for 2 turns when matching a big gem of size 3 or higher. So this basically makes it so anything that naturally does not have a way to poison might want to try to incorporate 2 sets from Serpent into their build. The main reason for this is poison is basically non-existent on any build that isn't green. There are some builds that do have it. I think purple has a way to do it, if I'm not mistaken, like a small chance to do it. But realistically and generally speaking, because of how you would normally build your spells to basically like infinite loop and stuff like that, you know, basically just trying to mitigate damage and keep getting extra turns and other stuff like that. But basically, you're almost never going to be doing poison on anything that isn't green. So oddly enough, even though this is a green-oriented set, you're pretty much only going to be using the set on non-green specific builds, specifically 2 pieces so that you can poison. Because anytime you take a big size 3 gem, you're just going to get poison on them. And that's going to be enough poison that you're basically perpetually going to have poison, which gives you access to doing additional damage to everything in the entire game without necessarily needing to have a poison mechanic on your build, which means you don't have to waste an equipment item for you. Well, you actually do. You have to set 2 still. As far as which 2 you would set, that's a bit harder because everything from the set is awful. And the shoulders are already poisoned. So, yeah, I'm not sure what 2 you would really do. I guess whatever 2 you have highest rarity that you can end up making work. But it is a good idea to potentially consider putting 2 if you somehow have a way to put 2 into your build. Because you basically can run poison on anything without needing to have poison as a mechanic on your spells, which is very good for every non-green build in the game. Aside from that, it gets to get extra power when a green enemy enters battle, pretty useless. And it gets power if the enemy is poisoned, which kind of has synergy for doing extra damage to poison, but overall pretty bad. Basically, the set's just horrific. The only reason you'd ever use it is for 2, so you could poison on things that don't have poison. Anyways, final one, Runic Mace. So remember earlier when I said there's a better way to do skulls? Well, here's the better way to do skulls. It's actually so good at doing skulls that you have to deliberately make sure you're not using 2 runic pieces. Generally, if you're going to be using 1 runic piece, you should be using ring and nothing else. Because if you're using 2, it can actually get in the way of your build, which was something I hope they wouldn't do, but they end up doing. I have no clue why this isn't on Bone Set. It doesn't make any sense why it is on Runic and not on Bone Set. But there's a 25% chance, and it goes up to, I think, like 55 or so at Epic or so, to create 2 skulls when matching a regular, or when casting a regular spell. Basically meaning when you cycle through all 4 of your spells with 2 epic pieces on, you're going to be creating 4 skulls. This is really, really good on skull-oriented builds. The problem is, this isn't really a skull-oriented set, so I have no clue why it has it, and why Bone Set doesn't have it. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever why Bone Set, or literally anything else like Warlord or something similar, doesn't have this specific set on it, or, you know, the perk. I have no clue why it's on Runic, but it is. This does mean that you're basically never going to want to run 2 runic pieces on anything that's trying to get extra turns off of color, which is basically every build in the entire game, for the most part. Even skull-oriented classes are still trying to do that and not do it off of skulls. Like, for example, Dwarf. Like, you're still trying to get extra turns off of res, not off of skulls. So this is extremely bad and gets in your way a lot. It's extremely good for getting skulls. It's extremely bad because it keeps negating your extra turns, because you're never trying to get extra turns off of skulls unless you're like Necromancer hero class. So maybe in blue, like 2 blue runic pieces with like runic ring and like 1 other thing here could be okay for that. But aside from that, you're not really using it, and you actually want to actively avoid using 2 from this set, just to make sure that you're not using this ring with any of these other 5 pieces. Luckily, none of these are particularly meta, so you can easily avoid these other 5 and just use the ring. The ring's really good. It gives you a lot of special meter. Plus, I believe they fixed a glitch with it, supposedly. I'm not sure if they actually have. I haven't played enough today, or barely at all, to really know if they did. But supposedly, they fixed a glitch with Runic Ring. And assuming that is the case, yeah, just run Runic Ring and just make sure to not run any of these other 5 pieces, because it actually makes your build worse having any of these other 5. Not just because they're bad, but also because you would actively be getting skulls when you don't want skulls. Anyways, this next one's pretty bad. It inflicts its hex on the enemy for a bunch of turns when armor or resistance reaches 0. The issue with this is you generally don't want your armor or resistance to reach 0 in the first place. It's also a little bit weird, because if your armor's hitting 0, how does hexing the enemy help you at all? Like, it makes sense when your resistance reaches 0 that, like, oh, okay, let's go mitigate them even further so they can't, like, kill you. But it doesn't make any sense why it does it for armor. I'm not sure what they could really change it to, but I don't know, it just seems really weird, because you're actively avoiding doing this, and it makes no sense why it does it for armor. Like, if this was, like, hex the enemy when your resistance reached 0 and blind the enemy when your armor reaches 0, this would actually be pretty solid. But still very rarely used because you generally don't want to be hitting 0 to begin with there. But I'm not sure why it doesn't do that. But the fact that it only hexes for both of these is kind of a missed opportunity. Because if it's hex for one and then blind for the other off this specific perk, both combined together, it could work out pretty nicely. Because it's kind of like a desperation thing. Like, oh, if you hit 0 on their armor, you're going to blind them, which makes it harder for them to do damage now that you just hit 0 on it. And if you hex them when your resistance goes 0, oh, because they're hitting your, your resistance through, now you have a way to survive. It would make sense in that case. That's not what it does, though. So this really only makes sense if you specifically need it for the resistance, for the hex. The armor aspect of it's pretty mixed matched. I'm not sure why it's there. Or why it doesn't do blinds instead, for specifically when it does that. Anyways, and if you have the full set, there's a 30% chance to gain Reflect. We have no clue what Reflect does. I'm not sure if anyone's tested it yet. I'm not even sure if I have one of each of these. I know I used to have this in Epic. I scrapped it, though. I think I scrapped that, too. I think I scrapped that, too. On the long list of there's no storage in this game problems. I know I have these 3 in Epic, but that's not enough to have 6. Or even have one of each of the other ones. But I have no clue what Reflect does. They didn't mention the patch notes. They added a new effect and like, oh, let's go add this. So I'm not even sure if it works properly, what it does. Based on what it does in Gems of War, we can kind of assume it probably reflects probably all the damage you take for one hit or something. So, or maybe 50%. I would assume all based on how this game is scaled. But we don't currently know because, yeah. Also, we don't even know if it works through barrier or anything. Not sure if anyone's bothered testing it. Anyways, that's all the sets, if I'm not mistaken, unless I missed one. I don't think I missed any. So, let's go do other things. First thing first. I need to go change back to the weapon. Oh, yeah, duh. I'm like, where's all my other stuff? There it is. Give me my weapon. So, other things that happened this patch. That's still not everything. Yeah, it's a really weird set in total. Like, all of it's really mixed-matched. Because Runic's set is a really heavy power-based set. And nothing that Runic set does is power-based. Like, all the set items are power-based. Yeah, all the perks that it gets are unrelated to power in any way, shape, or form. It's really weird. Anyways, what should we do next? What have I not gone over? There's still stuff. I went over that. I'll go actually check the patch notes. I'm pretty sure there's something I forgot to go over. Also, we've been going an hour, and I still haven't even gotten through the patch notes. The patch notes aren't even that long. It's just going over all the sets because the patch notes didn't mention it. Takes a while. But anyways, what else did I not mention? I know there's more. That's a Gems of War forum. I'm not looking for Gems of War forum. Where's the Puzzle Quest forum? Let's see. Let me go check. I know there's more I missed. Okay, so changes in the blah, blah, blah. Oh, they added a bunch of new environments. We haven't seen any of those yet since we still haven't gotten into a battle after an hour. Also, our chests are probably ready. Oh, yeah, you can even see it. There they are. Let's see. Design and difficulty. We talked about the rebalance. We haven't gotten to show any yet, though. Citadel. Set bonuses we just went over. Gear changes. Oh, yeah, I forgot that. So, you'll remember all these gears we had at low level? Unfortunately, now you can't cheese it and keep them at low level forever. You actually have to go level them now. Boo. So you might notice, for example, these all have +5s on them and these have +1s. The reason for this, in the most recent patch, it's now scaled based on the level. So, for example, when a gear hits 25, it now goes to 2s. When it hits 35, it goes to 3s. When it hits 45, it goes to 5s. I have no clue at what point it goes to 4s. Maybe it just skips it. And if you have it at a lower level than that, well, they're all at level 1s, which means you got to go level them to get them higher, or whatever that threshold they end up increasing at. So yeah, now if I want this to have its full perk, to have all that power and everything, and the light strike and all that, that was a really wrong color. This needs to be yellow to be relevant. But hopefully they add some way to change it that doesn't cost 1 billion resources in the future. But main reason why we keep it, of course. And that, and of course, that bonus is relevant for now. Plus, if you get any legend, you should be keeping it. It could be the worst legend in the entire game. Do not scrap any legends. And I should have kept all my epics, too. I've actually scrapped probably like a dozen epics. Feel bad every single one that we did. It was because of lack of storage, which still exists to this day. Also, I need to scrap that later. I just had it for messing around with something. But anyways, so yeah, its perks are weaker now. This was done for 2 reasons. One was to make people actually upgrade their stuff, which they don't mention in the post, but that's probably the near entirety reason. The excuse they gave was for lower level players, so that when you use it on other characters, they can't just like power creep like crazy. Because before you could have like infinite stats on them. But now you have to wait until they get to like level 45 before they can like fully utilize legendary equipment, and 35 before they can fully utilize epic and all that. Anyways, so yeah, there's that. So that's a pretty huge nerf to a lot of things within the game. That's probably the biggest nerf that happened this patch. The other one was the Evelyn one that we went over earlier. Evelyn took the biggest nerf, and as far as actual gameplay, that one took the other biggest nerf. So other things, news menu. Oh yeah, they added a news menu. Same kind of one that Gems of War has. It's like a little small thing that shows some news. That's not where I want to click. Also, what on earth is that lag? There it is. But yeah, it shows like the patch notes. So you can go to patch notes. It has the early access telling you, hey, it's still in early access. Stop complaining. And the community feedback section, which of course you can give feedback on the forum, which kind of means there's like 2 locations, things that go to the exact same location, which is kind of funny. Also, apparently that just broke the entire top bar somehow. Good job, game. There it goes. It came back. So apparently that's still glitchy because it just got added. We went over the shop, all those changes, the bundles. We went over that. Additional loadouts. We went over that. It increased to 8. Evelyn, we went over that. Push notifications. That's irrelevant. Citadel. So now Citadel unlocks when you get to level 50. So this was a big issue before. But now if you didn't have it unlocked before, you had a level 50 character, but you didn't finish out the storyline. Now, the second you have a level 50 character, you unlock Citadel. It doesn't make much sense from a storyline perspective, even though I haven't finished the storyline. I do know you get it from the end of, before, from completing out the thing. Also, I wonder what happens now if you end up completing out the quest line. Because before, if you weren't level 50, like if you got the quest line completed, but you were under level 50, you still got access to Citadel. I wonder what will happen now. Though generally, by the time you finish it, you're like level 40 something anyways, even if you rushed it as quickly as possible. And, you pretty much have level 50 soon after, so I guess it's not too big a deal, but still. But anyways, you hit level 50, you automatically have Citadel now. So if you didn't already have it, you probably have it now, because if you're actively playing this game for even like a few weeks, you probably already hit level 50. Like 1 month, you definitely have. So yeah, you probably have Citadel now. So that's a thing. So even if you haven't finished out storyline, boom, Citadel, which will help you finish out storyline because it helps you a lot by giving you additional stats and other bonuses. Also, still no reset feature, pretty noteworthy. The lack of a feature there. That's so needed. Plus rebalance on it. They added more controller support. Not sure why. But apparently they're still adamant about trying to release this game on anything that isn't a touchscreen or mouse. Because that's going to be so ridiculously hard to play. I have no clue what they're going to do for it. I'm not even sure if they know what they're going to do for it. But they are still trying to get it onto consoles. So that's a thing. As well as to have controller support when it goes on Steam. And a bunch of miscellaneous stuff that I will not be going over because it's mostly bug fixes. That's, yeah, just kind of standard things. It is beta. There's a billion bugs. So yeah, that's pretty much everything then. So let's go do some stuff. First things first, we got a bunch of... Oh no! I keep trying to click on Evelyn because normally she has value and she has no value anymore. Boo. Let's see what we get. Useless junk, salvage. Let's see. Next. Oh yeah, there's still nothing to use food on, by the way. So that's a thing. Unless you want to play the Hunger Games for the minute that it resets on. Though that's not even worth doing most of the time. Okay, the pet's not ready yet. I don't like doing much anymore. Because I'd rather have the bigger equipment to try to get set bonuses. I guess we'll do another Gemka. Sure, probably already had a Gemka running. I'll just keep the armor running. Let's get another armor rolling. Because we're starting to run a little low on ore. Oh, we got a diamond ready. Let's go open the diamond. See what's in our diamonds. Come on, legendary. I haven't gotten a legend from a diamond for ages, mostly because the rate of getting diamonds, the current state of the game, now that level 100 kingdoms or factions, whatever, dungeons, take forever. It's so hard to get diamonds now. You still get them. It's just a lot slower than before. I already have Bone Sickle in green. Why couldn't you give me the epic version? That would have been nice. But this is all trash. Bone Sickle in green is actually really good. If you're going to get Bone Sickle, that's one of the most useful colors to actually get it in. However, I already have it, and I don't even care what perk it has, so I'm just going to scrap it. Not even going to look. Oh, and also, you still get a billion of these things. I have no clue why. 148 that we can never use on anything, and 72 of these that we can never use on anything. And they take up, like, more than half the drop table. And they still keep dropping like crazy for no apparent reason. Also, hello, Robert! Hello, whoever that said hello to. Sorry, I haven't been keeping up with chat as much. Let's see. Did the patch reduce the amount of time to do all the daily tasks? No, they have not. Even though they said they kind of would. There are some things in this patch that slightly reduce the amount of time it would take to do dailies. However, the amount of daily reduction in time was probably about 10% due to changes in the most recent patch. So if it was taking you 2 hours, it'll now take you like an hour and 50 minutes. So is that an improvement? Technically. Was it the improvement we needed? No. So yes, theoretically there were aspects of this patch, like rescaling some on the stats of the enemies, and just the fact that we have more power creep because now there's set bonuses and stuff like that. So that like effectively makes you a bit stronger. But then there are also things that made you weaker, like the fact that you have to actually have your equipment upgraded, stuff like that. So if you just randomly get a legendary a piece of equipment, it's kind of useless until you, or not completely useless, but you know, you have to fully upgrade it before it's really fully effective. So there's that aspect now. But overall, you are slightly stronger than you were the previous patches. So that technically makes things quicker. They also did some things for interface stuff that makes things slightly quicker. I believe it auto ends your turn now too, so you don't have to wait out timer if there's no moves left. And a few other things like that. Well, then again, did it already do that? I think it just gives you a notification of why it's doing it now. So, I don't know. It's overall like 10% quicker, possibly. Though no real huge substantial changes to overall speed of doing dailies. Which is pretty bad because that's one of the biggest issues in the game right now. Is dailies take way too long. I don't even do PvP daily most of the time. As you can see, we haven't done a single one of our battles for them yet. It just takes so long. We're probably going to do it on this stream, though, just because we're doing a stream for it and we don't stream it often. So we'll probably do all of them. But, yeah, it's generally not something we mess with too often. Like, I still do them. Like, obviously, we do them. We have 5,762 honor. But, not as paranoid about them as I was in the past because there's just so many dailies. And quite a few of the other dailies are better overall value than them. The Army of Puss Bags. Why does it have to have such a weird name? I love that it has a Plague Doctor mask. But, why must it have such a weird name? Because Puss Bag is meta for key openings. We went over all that at the beginning of the stream if you're wondering what all the best pets are. Went over that quite in depth earlier this stream. Why you no read anything I wrote? Sorry, Isabel, I didn't see your thing. Let's see. I've mostly been trying to look at the questions. Important question. A long time ago, when you got your new background, you said you'd change it up. And here you are still sitting in an noxious swamp. I know, I still haven't. I need to at some point. There's a lot of things we need to change with our stream interface that needs to change at some point. Soon TM, eventually. What was your question, Isabel? Sorry, I didn't see your thing. Let's see. Am I the only one still suffering from spell mana cost still? There's ways around it. You save your helm. Use, if you don't have any good weapon, but you have access to it, use, but you save your helm, use bone rings, use, what am I trying to think of? Words. Well, I guess you could use 4 sets of Royal now, because that's pretty good for getting 1 billion manas on turn 1. You can use that one Tome. That's what I'm thinking of. The Dragon Guard Tome that ends up giving you more mastery, which can end up helping you a bit. So there's a lot of factors that combine together to end up making mana accumulation a bit easier. Let's see. I answered that. Your assassin build got a bit of a hit because your gear set bonuses that creates skulls randomly. Yeah, I know. I hate that so much. It's so horrible. I mentioned that in the other thing. Like, they need to make sure they don't end up doing that. And guess what they did? They end up doing that. They need to remove the first Runic perk to Bone. Like, replace the one that's currently on Bone with what's currently on Runic. And just give Runic something else, like power-related or something. Because Runic having that makes using more than one Runic piece really bad. Like, the only thing you can do is use 1 or 2 of the rings if you want to. Using anything else in Runic is pretty much prohibited now. Because it'll end up creating skulls, which in most builds is actually bad, not good. So you have to actively not use full Runic pieces now. Like, I even had to change my boots. I think I have, like, 35 Runic boots. I think they even handed out. They handed out, like, a Runic mace, max Runic mace. So a lot of people have, like, a max Runic mace and a maxed, or, you know, 35, which, you know, it's kind of maxed. Realistically, legends aren't that obtainable currently. But, yeah, I believe they gave, like, both of those. So now a lot of people, like, have both of these. So it's like, oh, I'll go run them together. And then you get this really bad skull creation effect. And it's like, oh, that's not good. But, yeah, you want to actively, like, not use more than 2. You have to just use 1. So you're just going to use, like, the boots if you want to. Just ignore the mace and go for some other weapon. And if you do use that, you can't use the ring. More often than not, if you're using something for its strength, you should be using the ring. The Runic rings are really good. And they fixed the glitch, supposedly. I haven't actually tested it, though. But give 7 to your ultimate meter every single time you match a big gem. There are so many ways to generate more big gems onto the board. So it gives you a lot of value. Really strong. One of the most strongest rings in the game currently. It always was. But when Bone Ring was, like, ultra meta, it was a little bit better to go with Bone Ring. But now that Bone Ring has cooled it off and is kind of useless now. Not completely useless, but a lot less useful than it used to be. Now Runic Rings is insane. There's still a few other rings that are insane, like absolutely amazing Night Band. Actually, I should probably upgrade this. Unfortunately, that's speed. Speed's awful. But I think a lot of things in that set has speed, which is kind of unfortunate. Anyways, so any other questions? Any other anything? Let me know. Oh yeah, 4 pieces of Royal is really strong in the current state of the game. Ends up getting it spawns gems. Oh, that's not Royal set, is it? But it spawns big gems onto the board, which is very useful, as well as for Dwarven Necklace. Anyways, let's go do some battles already. We've been talking about a billion things. Oh wait, did I set up my chest? Let me go do my chest real quick. I haven't been super paranoid. I'm pretty sure we've lost like dozens upon dozens of hours of chest value. Just because of how weird the chest system is now, because you can't farm anything at a realistic speed. Anyways, let's go figure out some dailies we want to go do. So we did these earlier. I guess we'll go do some of the event dungeon stuff. So one thing that we have access to that we didn't before is maxed out event dungeons. We've had it for about a week now, I want to say. We've had access to these. They also did a bunch of new graphics to this, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, the system for this is still a little bit weird. I'm not sure if they fixed leaderboard as far as multi-way ties. We're probably going to find out. Hopefully they did. But apparently some people took damage here, so we have to be a little careful not to take any damage, and we can get a higher spot. Looks like if we don't take any damage, we pretty much have guaranteed second, even if we get a multi-way tie, because we should have a higher score than them, because it looks like 2 people took damage there. Let's just make sure our build is nice and ready to go to make sure we don't take any damage. So let's just go and double check all of our things one last time, because I was messing around with some things. So we're using this weapon just because it's the only legendary weapon I have, and because it crits like crazy. Overall, it's helped speed up some battles. The main reason we're really using it, though, is 5 power. A lot of power. That's like the main thing we're using. Free XP, too, so free XP is better than not free XP. So we're mostly using it for that aspect. There are a lot of epic weapons that could be used instead. I'd probably be using Tome or trying to fit it into some kind of set, because, of course, set bonus exists now. But for now, whenever it gets a crit, hits for a lot, so how's that going for it? Save your helm makes us not die. We also have it in Mythic, which is insane. We were able to cheese that because when you were able to level them in that one patch, they all got converted over. And while I wasn't able to get a lot of my equipment upgraded because I had a lot of level 1 equipment at the time, one thing I did have maxed was my Savior Helm at the time. And it might be the only Mythic Savior Helm in the entire game, which is kind of lucky because it actually has Solid as its final perk here, which is 8% mitigation whenever we block, which makes it even better. Oh, it has a cap of 80%. I never noticed that. So we currently have a 25% block right now. And it caps at 80%. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know I showed that now. That's new this patch. That didn't show previously. Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm not sure how on earth you're going to get 80% though, because a mythic piece has 8. So that means you'd have to have 10 mythic pieces that all have 8 to have 80% reduction. The chance of that happening is near non-existent. Because you would not only have to have a mythic piece, but you would also have a mythic piece that specifically has solid, which not all pieces can even end up getting solid. And even pieces that can get solid might not necessarily have solid on it. Also very annoying, this has light strike on it. But anyways, so we have that to not die. Save your helm's just the best helm in the game. Shoulders can pretty much be anything. This is the one I have leveled. This I have literally just so we can get synergy with shield. This is for more crit onto our extra crit, so we can crit onto our crits. It also has extra block for our blocks, which most dwarf pieces, if not all dwarf pieces, have. Savior pants I'm doing literally just for the Savior synergy, and because it has solid on it, and solid is good. Boots we have just so we can do a little bit more into dwarf set, and also because solid. It also is one of the only few boots that don't do magic, which is good. I mean, not magic, I mean speed. Any boots that don't do speed is really good. This is just for blocking on turn 1, in case we somehow do not have a good starting board, even after everything, and make sure we can ideally get a block off, which does all of our damage mitigation, which uses Soul as 25%, so they'll hit 25% less. Dwarven Necklace is basically required, though you can use pure Savior now, 6 Savior pieces. But basically, you're required to use one of 2 things to take any higher piece of content in this game. 6 pieces of Savior or Dwarven Necklace. It is essentially required to run one or the other. One nice other thing about it is it has even more solid on it, and it has strong, so that worked out. This is mostly just to make sure we don't end up doing 2 Runic pieces. So I actually have to actively not use Runic Belt. I used to always use Runic Belt for the extra mastery, but because of Runic Ring and the fact that it creates skulls, I have to actively not, so we're just using that for the sake of just not using a Runic piece, which makes it weaker. However, we kind of have to because, yeah, they've nerfed Runic set. And Bone Ring's kind of just here for some starting mana. Oh, and also because of Guard, which is not the same as Solid, but it gives us a higher chance that we'll end up blocking on turn 1, which it shows only 8%. However, that's actually not true because it doesn't actually account for this yet, which is 30% on turn 1. So we actually have 38%, which means we have a 1 in 3 chance on turn 1 and 2, essentially, to block, which is pretty decent. Obviously, that's not guaranteed, and nor can it be guaranteed. It caps at 80%. but you know, still nice. Anyways, oh, you know what? That probably means elite protection and other stuff like that probably caps at 80% too. They didn't actually show the caps in game prior to now, but this patch actually added that too. It wasn't mentioned in the patch notes, I don't believe, anywheres. But anyways, I think we're good to go with this. We should be fine. Our spells that we run are pretty standard for this kind of build. I don't have an epic version of either of these two, oddly enough, if I'm not mistaken. I need to get them at some point. But luckily we have Legendary Sunburst and Epic for Sacred Flame. I end up replacing out the Lightning thing just because they end up drastically increasing the chance that ends up creating Thunderbolt things, which are actually bad. You do not want it to do that. You do not want it to destroy a bunch of columns. It's a little bit weird compared to Gems of War. In Gems of War, you're pretty much always happy to have board clear. In this game, you pretty much never want to have board clear. It's kind of weird because they kind of overcompensated in the exact opposite direction in every single way, like compared to Gems of War, where like armor is like meta here, whereas like armor is the worst in Gems of War, and now board clearing is horrible in this game compared to before, where it's actually really good. The big issue with board clearing in this game is any cascades will lock in, and if those are locked in colors that are not the colors you want, it could literally just make a line across the board that makes it so you can't extra turn and other similar things like that. So you want to board clear as minimally as possible, or even just not at all. Gem spawning is way, way stronger than ever board clearing. So you basically want to actively avoid any mechanic that ever has any capability to board clear in any way, shape, or form, unless it's a really controlled way of doing it. For example, I believe Dwarf has like a, Berserker, I mean, has like a column destroy. That if you're not berserked will end up being a really consistent just single destroy. Like something like that's not too bad. But when you're destroying like a column is generally bad, and random columns are even worse, or any random amount of any explosions or anything can normally be bad. There are a few that aren't too bad though, like that one blue one that explodes a lot, but generally speaking, you do not want to board clear in this game. It's much better to gem spawn. Anyways, let's go battle. We are an hour and a half in with no battles. There was just so much to talk about. So this is max level dungeons. Currently there are only like 10 people here, I think. When we were here earlier, there was no one, or pretty much no one. But yeah, I want to say about 10 because there's some people still not on leaderboard who will hit it tomorrow. You get a bunch of chests still. This is the chest that you get for having it max. You get 2 gold chests, then you get 2 ruby chests, and then you get 2 diamond chests. If you're doing this with just your free battles, you basically get the 2 gold chests for free, then 2 rubies, and then the next day you get the 2 diamonds or something. Where's along those lines? But if you buy any amount of more tiers, you end up getting them pretty much all instantly. Anyways, as far as this current event, of course, every single one has 3 special things going for it. This one ends up making it so matching green gems will inflict poison on the owner. Not really too big a deal. It will make the enemy do slightly more to us. However, just don't take greens. And I believe it only lasts for 1 turn, so you can kind of avoid it pretty easily. Resistance is increased by 100% on the enemy. This is really bad because generally that's how you're killing everything. So now everything is 2 times more unkillable, which is horrible. And the other one is armor is reduced to 0. So of course this gives us the benefit of us critting, which is why we're using pretty high crit build. That's why I like having the combination there, so we can actually end up getting some crits, so we can occasionally get that damage poke to end up killing them out. And basically any physical damage we do is basically going to hit directly to their HP, which is kind of convenient. And one nice thing is before you wouldn't be able to see what on earth your team was. And while you still can't see what class you're using, you can see the name of the team that you're using. So right now we can see we're using Never Lose, which is just this kind of standard paladin, just barrier forever kind of build. It can lose, though it's very unlikely that it will lose. But it's just a standard, just never die, take out content kind of build. It's not the quickest way to kill in the game, but it's the most consistent way to not die. And that is generally more important than winning quickly. And of course, we have no audio just because BlueStacks is a little bit weird. They do not have a PC build yet. It will be coming to Steam hopefully before the end of this year. However, there is none currently. So, of course, we ideally want to try for barrier, just kind of take a bunch of other junk from the board. If we don't get barrier from that, that'd be extremely surprising. And there we go. And from here, we basically spam over our abilities and try landing as many extra turns as we possibly can. The only bad thing about using this fire ability is that it does end up not being able to do like the whole light damage thing. And it's not even relevant because it's relevant and not relevant. It's a bit weird because ideally you want this because light can do just flat damage to pretty much everything. One nice thing about light and dark damage in this game is there's no weakness to it. So you're always hitting for at least your full amount of damage. The problem with fire is blue enemies. So whenever we're up against a lot of undead, particularly that ultra tanky blue unit that they didn't bother rebalancing 2 patches in a row now, that basically is like near invincible, not literally, but you know, if it has over 100 armor, which is pretty much always in most situations, ends up having a ridiculously high amount of reduction. And that's really bad for this character because it takes it absolutely forever and a half for it to do absolutely anything because of how much resistance it has. And then you're doing fire damage, which it does even less damage to, plus the extra mitigation, which like fourths the amount of damage you do or something like that, which is very exceedingly annoying. So we don't have barrier right now, so obviously we want to go regain barrier. And, oh, I was meant to take that skull. I guess we're not taking that skull. Not sure why I did that way, but sure, okay. We'll take it. As long as we got all of our mana back. Of course, that's the main thing that you want to do in most turns, is cycle all your mana back to full mana and then win. That is pretty much the full premise of how you want to do most battles. So right here, you can see we have the capability of spawning gems. You generally do not want to spawn gems when you have a guarantee extra turn on the board. You just want to simply go for that extra turn, just take it. And we'll take everything else because we can. And turn ended because there's no more available moves. Which I believe wasn't actually a thing before. It did before if you forced it to happen. However, that does save a little bit amount of time. So if you're taking one move and you have like a 5-second timer, and that one move just, you know, there's no moves left, it will automatically end your turn now. So this over the course of a battle can save about, well, like something like this. It could save about like 20 to 30 seconds. It's not like too huge of a time saving, but it's better than what was before, at least if nothing else. It's not like those huge time savers that we really need in the game, but it's a step in the right direction, at least in that regard. Feels weird not having audio on, but I can't really turn it on. It's way too glitchy with BlueStacks. It'll make very weird, loud noises. But hopefully we'll have a Steam build in the next few months so we can actually start doing stuff for it more. And actually have audio without it glitching out like crazy. One of the favorite unexpected behaviors is Warlord Shoulders triggers even if you have barrier up. Yes. Which I assume is how Reflect will work too. I'm not sure if anyone's tested Reflect yet because it requires 6 Runic pieces? I forget what was under. But it requires 6 of one of the sets. But I assume Reflect works the same way like it does in Gems of War, where even if they do 0 damage to you, it still does it based on what damage they would have done. So, yeah, it can be okay. But yeah, Warlord Shoulders, oddly enough, the location where it tends to get the most amount of value I found is PvP, because they're pretty much forced to have to hit you every single turn. And combined with other damage that you have, it's actually not too bad, the amount of Reflect that you end up getting there. Because when you're up against like multiple enemies, you don't get as much value because, you know, there are multiple enemies. But when you're up against like one single enemy like that, you don't necessarily like kill them just off of Reflect, but the amount of value that you get overall is a lot better for, you know, when you're up against a fewer enemies compared to more enemies, because you have the same amount of durability regardless, whereas the enemy has, you know, there's just more of them. So in that kind of situation, it's kind of okay. I am curious to see how Reflect works in this game, because if it's 100% Reflect and it works on barrier, Reflect might actually not be horrible. The only way to apply Reflect, I believe, is pure Runic, is it? I can't remember what set it was on. But one of the sets has Reflect on it. I'm pretty sure it's pure Runic. And it's currently the only way in the entire game to Reflect because no abilities currently have the Reflect mechanic. So right there you saw our turn automatically ended. That was something new added in the most recent patch. Before we'd have to wait out our entire timer even if there was literally 0 moves left. However, now if you force the board to have 0 moves left, it will auto end your turn, which could save you a bit of time here and there. Also, what does that flag mean? I'm actually not sure. That's new. We should hover over it next time there's a flag. I'm not sure what it means. Does this one have it too? No, this one doesn't have a flag. Why did it show a flag? That's weird. Why did it just show a flag? I'm not sure what that means. Doesn't matter though. We take all the other stuff. Normally you'd want to be a little bit more efficient and take the skulls and everything too. Not too big a deal though. We have our infinite loop. Okay, I want to know what that flag is now. That was weird. Oh, maybe it was a checkpoint. Oh, you know what? That flag might have been the checkpoint. Though, did we even have a checkpoint screen? I kind of just clicked through them automatically without even realizing they exist. I wish they were optional. Because you'd, like, never use them. But, maybe that's what it was. I kind of just phased through them without even noticing that they existed. Because 2 of them already happened. I didn't even notice a single one of them happening. There's just that thing that you kind of just, like, auto-X out of. Kind of like how when you die and it gives you the revive option. It's like, yeah, no. Oh, there it is. Okay, maybe it's not that because it's all the way at the end. What does that flag mean? That's new this patch. Clicking here doesn't give us any indication. What on earth does the flag mean? Maybe it's when something happens, because if those were checkpoints earlier, that means that's the end of battle when you finish that out. So it could mean that, maybe? I'm not sure. Not sure. Hey, we got blind, except it's only for 1 turn, so it literally goes away the second it does anything. Is it elite? Oh! No, the spider we were up against I don't think was elite, was it? It would have been the 4th enemy? Oh no, I'll go double check next time. Yeah, it might be an elite marker. Oh, why did I do that? I should have saved it. That was not really too big a deal. Oh, I need to make sure we don't have any moves left. I keep forgetting. Before, you would just kind of wait out the timer. But now you actually want to actively take your moves because it might save you a second or two. Because once you have no moves left, it'll auto end your turn as of this patch. So there's only like 1 or 2 more moves. You might as well just move them real quick so it skips the extra second or two. Not too big a deal, but save some time. Gravedigger, I don't need it. And all the other junk. I have gotten a glyph from this once, so the glyph drop rate seems to be pretty low. But it's more than 0. But, yeah, it's pretty much max dungeons. They have different effects for it every single time. And you got to do so many of them. Even at only 2. Like, 2 if you just did, like, the absolute minimum. That's still a lot of them. And generally for leaderboard, to be able to go, like, get those gems, still got to go for quite a bit more of them. That's pretty much what I have to do for most of these battles. They consider the end of the match a rest point. Yeah, that might be what they are, rest points. That's why I thought based on where the other one was located. Right, we're going to be able to get a barrier here. The problem is we don't have any follow-up beyond that. Unless yellows do something weird right here. Okay, we got enough for our special meter, so let's do that then. You do generally want to make sure you stagger your barriers, of course. So we want to make sure we keep them onto the board. I highly doubt we're going to need them in this particular situation, but you do want to stagger them. Just so you have even more reduction. Also, in doing so, I actually made it so we didn't have enough mana fail. That's not too big a deal. I'll just take those. Got a little bit of mana there. Take some skull. Take a blue, I guess. Turn ended. No more moves. That saved literally no time. Actually, that might even cost him more time because of how the thingy comes up. Not sure. But yeah, that must be a checkpoint then. That I keep skipping through without even realizing they exist. I wish it would be changed so they never appear. But they give you the option to, like, rest at any point. Kind of like Darkest Dungeon. But no, also, like, common sense. Instead of forcing you to have to do it twice every single time and just skip it, like, 99.9% of times, why not just give us the opportunity to rest whenever? Just not on the first battle. Like, after, like, a set amount of battles, like 2 kills or something. Just let us rest. But only give us the option to do it once or twice. Because it's going to be skipped nearly every time, and it's just a useless screen that takes like 5 seconds. And per day, it wastes like an entire minute. With the amount of times that it pops up. Which isn't a lot, but with the amount of things holding back how long the dailies take right now. Just accumulating to so many things. Every little bit would help. But I've never actually used a single rest. I used 1 potion once just to see what it would do. But I've literally, aside from just testing what it would do, have never, ever, ever actually used that rest. Despite the fact that we've seen literal hundreds, if not thousands of them, that we've had to skip past. Also, the bad thing here is we can't actually scale up our mastery anymore. Before I'd be able to scale up my yellow mastery, but now we can't use both Runic Ring and the other thing. And it's more important that we have Perpetual Barrier than it is that we have a little bit more damage. So this is kind of bad now. Because one of the few things that we could do to scale our damage can no longer occur. It's not that much of a scaling as far as how much it provided. But we can't do it now, otherwise we'll keep creating skulls. Due to the new set. Which doesn't make any sense at all. And we obviously don't want to be creating skulls. Which is kind of funny because Runic basically got nerfed with its buff. It's probably the only set that like literally actively got nerfed by having an effect. Because the effect makes no sense. There's literally only one set where it would have made sense, and that's Bone Set. On anything that was not Bone Set, the effect doesn't make any sense. Actually, I guess Warlord could kind of get away with it, but even then you'd kind of want to go into red, not necessarily the other thing. Not necessarily skulls. But for whatever reason, they put it on Runic, which makes no sense. So now you actively have to make sure you don't use more than 2 Runic pieces. And by not more than 2, I mean literally only 1. The only thing you can use 2 of is 2 Runic rings. Though generally you wouldn't want 2. 1's kind of already enough in most situations. Doesn't hurt to use 2 though. We were kind of going to have more than enough at that point. 1's already pretty much more than enough, like we have it maxed already. Because every big gem we take, we get an extra 7 for it being epic. And I believe it's 5 at rare, if I'm not mistaken. Probably like 9 at legends. Or something similar. Probably something similar. The turn-ending thing did have 1 negative impact that you can think of. Necromancer Ultimate creates gems that you can pop. Oh, yeah, true. There is a glitch that I'm not sure if they fixed yet. You can actually pop it while things are still going. There's a weird glitch where if you spam click it enough, you can actually trigger it without it actually being like a turn. Like it could not even be the active turn, like, you know, cascades and stuff, and you can still get the trigger on it. It's kind of weird. Like, try spam clicking it next time. It's like when your turn would normally be over, and you could probably get value out of it. Though Necromancer is one of the worst hero classes in the entire game, so not really worth using. The biggest issue with Necromancer is it's the only hero class that has a power gem that doesn't mana accumulate into itself. So every other hero class in the game generates mana into itself. So these shield gems, for example, they create yellow, of course. And, you know, with Shaman, it's green, so on and so forth. But with the other hero class, it doesn't. It creates skulls, which is not blue, meaning it doesn't get mana accumulation from it, which makes it arguably the worst hero class currently within the entire game. Just because it doesn't mana accumulate from its power gem. There's a lot of easy ways. Oops, that's not the way I wanted to go, but oh well. But there's a lot of easy ways to get more special meter to end up getting it. Like, you can see this match. It's we basically perpetually have it maxed just from 1 Runic ring. And that's literally just one of several things we could be doing to have it go higher. It's already just perpetually staying maxed. And that should be dead. And if not dead, we have 1 billion fire damage. Oh, we got a crit. Yay! I don't feel like we'd be getting too many crits, but there we go. We have a pretty good chance, too. We have 3% per red on board, plus the flat 10% on the other thing, plus a few other things probably contributing to it. Yeah, Necro has a lot of skull spam. If you're in a category where a single skull spam can kill an enemy, it's not necessarily too bad. Because, yeah, double Runic Ring could kind of loop into itself, and you just get 1 billion skulls. It's just a lot safer doing mana accumulation, though. But it does have at least some purpose. And with some of the sets that came in, like the Runic set, like, there are potential for it. Because the value that it gets from the Runic Ring change, even though, like, every build in the entire game got nerfed from it, theoretically, Necromancer got buffed from it. Because obviously Necromancer wants a lot of skulls. It's pretty much the only hero class that wants a lot of skulls on the board. Only reason why Shaman kind of wants it is because of its 1 mask that either does skulls or green. And also because of how Bone Sickle works. And the only other one that might occasionally want it is Berserker. Just because it literally does double damage based on skulls. Which is obviously not horrible. Oh yeah, blue Bone Sickle, yeah. Bone Sickle is only useful pretty much in 2 colors. I guess maybe red. Though there's so many other red weapons that would be better for Berserker. But there's only 2 that are like really, really good. And it is blue and green. Like if you're going Bone Sickle, those are basically the only colors that exist. Maybe red. But that's as far as you're ever going to get value from it for a color. Also, you may notice I deliberately don't take every match that we have. There's a couple reasons for this. One is, well, we already have enough value that we really don't need it at that point. But the other one is whenever you have an opportunity to match into a 4 or 5, if you take a 4, you still effectively have the same amount of gems. And if you take a 5, you're only reducing 1. And to have to swipe twice for that isn't normally worth it. Unless you use the new mechanic where it like force ends your turn, you can kind of get okay value from it. But for the most part, I don't know, it's just not really worth doing in most situations. Like right here, we still have moves we could do, but we'll wait. We'll wait. Because we already know we have enough value that we don't really need to try gaining more value from the board. One thing that they changed was the way dungeons rest. They rebalanced the benefits a bit. Oh yeah, that's something that actually happened in a mid-patch. They actually changed... Oh wait, did they rebalance the dungeon rest as well? I didn't even do any dungeons yet. We'll need to try a level 100 dungeon. I forget where I said on the forum or in the title, but I did mention we would do one. Might even try multiple. But I haven't tried a level 100 dungeon yet. We'd likely be using this build. There are a few builds that might go a little quicker. However, this build is the absolute safest way to go through it. And even with it, we could still die turn 1. They have really high stats. Gotta be careful. Though I haven't really seen much of the rebalance stats. Haven't really had much time to play since this version came out. Like me playing right now is most of the playing we've done this version so far. Other than me checking all the bonuses and other stuff like that. Because of course we've covered every patch so far. So might as well keep consistently doing that over time. Though I'm pretty sure the previous patch killed like most of the player base. So until launched, I don't think it's going to get too much more of a player base at this point. Because just bad feelings after what happened last patch. And a lot of it still wasn't addressed this patch yet. Like this patch was probably the biggest patch in the step in the right direction at least. But it's still missing a lot of things that the game should have done like literally ages ago. Like months upon months ago. Storage is still way too low. There's literally nothing to use food on. Color gear is still weird all over the place. With no way to modify modifiers or the color of gear. It's a lot of other small stuff. And the daily system still... That's probably the biggest thing plaguing it still from the previous version too. Daily system still takes way too long. Like right now, we're doing part of that daily system. Like we could stream for another hour. And we're probably going for another 2 or 3 hours. And we'd probably still not be done in another hour with the current daily system. Normally, I don't even do most of it these days. But it takes forever and a half. Which is something they still need to address. Also, them having double resistance barely even matters. Like, it gets in the way, but it is very minimally getting in the way. Also, we have heroic effort. Normally, it has the audio cue, and I didn't even notice because we have no audio. The game does have audio, obviously. It's just BlueStacks keeps doing weird glitches like every time we stream with audio. So I've been just disabling it lately. Until we get a Steam release, then we'll have audio up. Also, I might even up the graphics too once we have an official Steam release. We'll see. Those are already pretty heavy right now, even just with basic graphics. Because I believe I have the lowest graphics setting set right now. Yet it still crashes my phone whenever I play on phone. Which is also why I play on BlueStacks most of the time. While I was on vacation, obviously, I did it on phone and stuff like that during both the 2 vacations the other times. But generally, if I could play it on PC, I'm generally playing it on PC. Just because it's way more stable than it is on my phone. Like last night, I was trying to do a little bit on phone. And it, Archie, I think it was the other day, not last night. But it ended up like freezing. And then it made me lose one of my like sigil thingies for one of the events. Because it just like completely froze. Like it wasn't like frozen in the sense that it was soft locked or anything. It was frozen in the sense that it was running at about 0.5 frames per second. Or something similar. Like literally, it was taking seconds per frame. It was running that slow. It was absolutely insane. I'm not sure how they're going to be optimizing it when it does end up releasing or getting closer. Because it's very poorly optimized right now. Like, it's a low-quality phone, but still. It runs Gems of War without anything even remotely close to that. Do I have this? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have, like, every rare spell in the game at this point. Just need to be looking out for Epics Plus. I'm not even sure if you can get legends from it. I have not seen a legend from it. I really wish they would, though. Anyways, we'll finish more of these later. Let's go try a level 100 dungeon. So is Paladin within striking range of even getting anything to 100? I think I only have Savior. No, that one's only at hard. This one's at hard. I think Savior's the only location I did it for. Alright, I might have to do it here then. I'll do Empowered. Might as well. So, this is actually a pretty good place to farm too, because I need more Savior Helms in different colors could work. And also having all 6 of these in Epics is basically like having Dwarven Necklace. So that gives us some more possibility. I have you in Mythic. I have you in Epic. And I have you in Epic. So I would need the Staff, that in Epic in order to have the full set. So we could basically run Dwarven Necklace with 6 items instead of 1. Which obviously doesn't make much sense. However, there is still some viability to it. Especially if they rebalance any of these to be not useless. Not counting you, you're already good. But assuming this doesn't get nerfed and these 5 become not useless. Actually, isn't this some kind of healing bonus? It's something useless. This is gold, this is a barrier. But the way that it triggers makes it like one of the worst shields in the game, oddly enough. This, I believe, is just elite protection, which is pretty underwhelming. And this is a mana back, but it's such a small amount that's just not worth it. Anyways, also one other change. This didn't happen in the most recent patch that happened yesterday. However, this happened a couple weeks ago. They did like a mini patch. It is actually impossible to get iron chests from dungeons anymore. It also is supposedly a higher chance to get relics. However, I have still seen 0 relics from a dungeon chest. However, it is now impossible to get a wooden. So now there is a 2% higher chance to get a diamond and a 4% higher for ruby. I think it was 6% before, right? I don't remember. It was either 6 or 9. So either improved by 3% or 1%. Or sorry, 4% or 1%. Whereas diamonds went up by 2%. Gold, I think, went up 5. I think it was like 30 or so. And irons went up by 10 because I believe it was 40 before. Because I believe it was like 50, 40, 39 or something, or 6. And then 3%, I mean. I think is what the breakdown was before. Something like that. So basically, the most relevant thing is these 2 are slightly higher. Which means 1 in, what is that, 7 dungeons? Would ideally give you 1 of these 2. Which are like the only 2 chests that really matter. But anyways, let's go do some. Oh, so we will be able to open up the chest immediately since we have like infinite keys. Not literally infinite keys, but seemingly infinite. Because chests come in so slow. Let's see. Well, I don't even play on phone. Because, it just is no need to. The PC version's better. Don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die. Good. So you notice we just blocked there. It has a special animation. It also has a special sound effect, which obviously we can't hear. But, yeah, we just blocked. Blocking is good. It makes you not die. Blocking does not die things. Also, I probably should have kept that barrier there, but I need the mana, so hopefully that's enough mana. If we didn't get full mana here, that's problematic. Otherwise, that worked out. Oh, he just got rid of all my resistance. Joke's on him, though. We don't need that resistance. We just need barrier, and we have barrier, so we won. It's over already. It's just a matter of winning at this point. Like, we can't lose unless we, like, really mess up somehow. It's just a matter of winning at a speed that isn't glacially slow, which is still the case. This game is very exceedingly slow at winning still for high-level dungeons. Like, before, we would have already killed him, like, minutes ago at this point. But still very slow. Actually, we could... Oh, no, we won't die. Never mind. I was going to say... should still have a way to survive. But yeah, we never stream this game on phone. Even when it releases, we're just going to be doing it on Steam version. It's just easier to capture that way. And a high-quality computer would still be better than any high-quality phone for the most part. As far as stability. He's still not dead, by the way. This is the first enemy. So, yeah, they didn't really fix the game takes way too long to do anything issue. Because we already won. It's not a matter of us losing at this point. It's just a matter of how slow they made it to win. Because we already know we won this battle. It's not like, oh, will we win in like 5 more minutes once we actually get to the end. We already know we won. It's just a matter of, it won't let us win. It will not let us win in a timely manner, like before. It's one of the biggest issues with the game right now. It takes way too long to do anything, especially dailies, but also anything else. To such a degree that you literally just play for dailies. Like, I haven't... This is my first level 100 chess since version 0.34, pretty much. Like, I think I might have done it, like, a few times last version. Just to mess around with it. But, it's just because dailies take so long that you literally don't do anything that isn't the daily system. Unless you haven't finished out the quest line on every character, in which case you'd also focus on that. But assuming you already did that, literally only dailies is the only thing you would ever do in the current state of the game. Just because they take so absurdly long. And even then, you don't even get all the dailies done, because there's just so many of them. And the ones that do exist take too long. But yeah, this battle was over after the turn 2. Like, after you survive turn 1, and then you have, like, full mana. Oh yeah, they did buff these effects. Oh yeah, whoever mentioned that, you are correct. They've really buffed those. Wow. That's a lot of extra durability. Hold up. Too bad we can't get power. I wonder if we get attack weapon, how much damage that will be. That might help speed things up if we get lucky enough on it. Yeah, we just need the enemy concede button. They need to add an enemy concede. When it's inevitable that they're just gonna die. No. But, yeah, they need something to speed this up. Because it's not like this is difficult. Because it was actually more challenging how it was before. But now it's just like a gigantic time sink to try to do one of these. And we already know we won. Unless we, like, misclick or do something extremely weird or just, like, literally disconnect or something. Which can happen. Though it doesn't take so long that we'd get timed out. Though some people have complained about that before. I have yet to see that happen. But it is possible that a battle takes so long that it literally times you out because it thinks you're doing nothing. Because the battle literally took so long. I've yet to see that, but there's been many reports on the forum of it. And I think it still happens this patch as well. We saw it today, too. We were just in a random screen doing stuff, and it was like, oh, you haven't been doing anything. Because we weren't engaging, like, with a battle or anything. Even though we were going through menus and showing stuff. It was still like, nope. Also, hello, Bill. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Also, hopefully we'll get redeem codes for this game soon. I'm not sure if their loot will be anything good, but more loot is better than not more loot. I have no exact time as to when that will be happening. But they are saying that they're starting to get closer to more of an official release. Though even though the game still needs like 1 billion more development time. But they are planning on something at some point soon. And with that being said, sometime around that time, they would likely have redeem codes working, I would assume. So no exact time frame on that. But when we do start streaming this, we will have a regular schedule for it. What on earth that schedule will be, I have no clue. And we'll have redeem codes for it. But I don't know, we'll probably pick a day and just kind of do it. Maybe Mondays, I'm not sure. Tuesdays, someday. Someday we'll figure out. But maybe Tuesdays, I don't know. We'll figure out someday. But we'll have some kind of schedule once the game actually releases. And hopefully we'll have redeem codes as well. They're definitely eventually doing redeem codes. It's more so a matter of when than if. And what on earth there is even in them. I'd assume at least a gold key, but you never know with them. Like a gold key and a few other like little loots. Definitely at least an iron key. There's no way they would do anything worse than an iron. Iron's not as enticing though. Hopefully I don't piss them off too much before they give us codes. I don't think we would. Wednesday's the slowest day in Gems of War. True. So yeah, Wednesdays could work. Right in the middle of the week. Main reason I say Tuesday is reset is on Monday night. Or even Tuesday for some time zones, depending on where it falls for you. So Tuesday would kind of make sense. Because Tuesday is like the Monday of Gems of War. Like what Monday is for Gems of War is basically what Tuesday is for Puzzle Quest with how it's currently set up, assuming it has the same time frame at launch. Technically it's Monday night, however, you know, some time zones, or a lot of time zones, non-American time zones are pretty much, oh, I should have taken a damage there. I just have a habit of always going for durability. The reason I go for durability is one is the damage before was so small that it was pretty much irrelevant. The 1,200 weapon damage is pretty big. But the other reason is it makes it so you don't die, ideally. So if we somehow misclick or something bad happens, it gives you enough durability to have a desperation poke, where if the enemy happens to hit you, you just don't die, which is the main reason, because if we died right now, how awful would that be? We've been doing this for like, what, 6-7 minutes, and then the game is like, oh, we're just going to randomly kill you. So that is why, just in case I like misclick or do something like absurdly bad, I always go for durability, just for that off chance that we do some kind of awful mistake that somehow gets us killed after like 5 minutes in a dungeon or something, which is mostly just a safety precaution. Because like right now, if he hits us, as long as he doesn't crit. Oh yeah, I forgot if I mentioned that earlier. They reduced the damage of crits that the enemy can do. Player crits still do the same, but enemy crits have been reduced to 50% damage or something similar. I believe before it was like double damage or something. But yeah, they reduced the damage quite substantially. By like half or something similar as far as what it did before. So they still hit you pretty hard when they crit, but it's nowhere near like auto one-shotting you like before. Also, it's still funny whenever barrier gets hit by crit because it shows like a red 0. Critical block. Also, Dwarven boots still carrying that little bit of armor. Not much, but it's better than gaining infinite speed and making us take forever. Though speed isn't as bad now that it auto ends your turn when you run out of moves. Though you don't necessarily always want to take every move on the board. It's strategic to sometimes leave some there. As well as just out of laziness of not wanting to take every possible move every possible time. Just because of the time that it takes. Like right there, we still had like, what, 1 or 2 more moves. Yeah, we got a critical. Not going to help us much though. Watch after all this, all we get is an iron chest. It hurt a lot more when it used to be a wooden chest, so at least we have a guaranteed chance this will at least be an iron. But it's still pretty bad. Oh, also you got to be careful. That's the other reason why you want extra durability. It can auto end your turn when you still want to cast. Like right there, we kind of wanted to cast to make sure he ended his turn. But now he got a poke on us. That could have been the poke that killed us. So before we do anything, I actually want to do barrier here. And the reason for that is we do not want to die. So that's more so just a safety barrier. In case our turn somehow ended. Otherwise he'd poke us, and that would not be good. Also, there's still no multi-hits in the game, so barrier always keeps you protected. Though someone mentioned on the forum some kind of glitch with it where it was like hitting through barrier. I have not seen that yet. I have never seen any attack hit through barrier, personally. Not even when you were like cursed, because it doesn't even interact with that correctly unless they change that this patch. So, after like 10 minutes, we have completed a level 100 dungeon. So this is why I don't do level 100 dungeons. This right here. It takes so long compared to before. Before, it was like, what, 4 or 5 minutes to do a level 100 dungeon? And that's counting the repicks. Now it is around however long it just took. Which I assume is like, what, 10 minutes or so? Felt like about 10 minutes. We're probably going to get almost nothing from it. Though we didn't power it, so at least we got all these other marks. There's some diamond marks. Hey, at least we got a diamond chest technically out of it. Though you'd have to do that for like 2 hours a day. And all we get is iron out of it, which is the worst possible one we could have. Though at least you don't get woodens anymore. Still a chance you can get rares off of these, though. Still 0 food. And nothing too relevant. And save your shield, it gets salvaged. Yep, that's 100 dungeon in the current state of the game. Still pretty bad. Not much different than it was previous patch. Still absurdly tedious. To the point that you're basically never going to do that ever. Anyways, we haven't messed with other classes yet. I guess we'll go claim those gems real quick and maybe clear out the other top thing. So, let's mess with Dwarf. Dwarf's been pretty good since previous patch, and he's still pretty much just as good this patch, if not even better, due to some of the set bonuses. So, main premise of Dwarf is spam red. Run like double epic Firewalker ring and spam all the reds. Also, I need to try getting another Firewalker. Oh yeah, I already changed this earlier. So you want to make sure you have at least 2 Firewalker pieces set if you're using Firewalker rings, because double Firewalker ring doesn't work for it. The reason for this is there's a % chance to create a red gem at the start of your turn. And while this is a % chance and not guaranteed, this does stack with the other reds you're creating. meaning that in total we have a chance to create 5.5 reds per turn, basically. We have 5 guarantee reds with a chance of creating another additional red. So that's a lot of red. So we're doing that. Aside from that, what else do we have active right now? Dwarven set's basically doing nothing. Though it gives us a little bit extra mana if we can get them burned. And Dwarf doesn't really have a way to burn with what we're doing. So unless they somehow burn themselves. And we got Warlord, which is giving us some extra power based on the board. Not too much, but every skull on the board is giving us a little bit extra power. It's not huge, but it adds up. Obviously, we're using Savior, so we can get a bunch of things. This can be changed, so I think I'm just using red because why not? I could use Savior. What's the first bonus on Savior again? Because we can actually get a double bonus for Savior. Resistance isn't too good. So yeah, there's not much of a point in going to resistance compared to just a little bit more damage. Because of course the whole point of this build is to do damage as quickly as possible. So this has an interesting thing too. 2% chance to gain haste each time you take a red gem on the board. So I'm not sure if haste actually works properly, but we are going to be doing it with this now. The main reason being that it gives us the extra chance to create red, as we just mentioned off of Firewalker. However, if we gain haste, it also can kind of help us a little bit. We also have Necklace just to make sure our mana stays up a little bit better. You could run Barrier on it, but this team is meant for taking out weak enemies, not strong enemies, which is also why we have a little bit extra crit and stuff like that. Ideally, we'd be able to fit in 4 Warlord pieces too, because don't we gain extra critical damage? Because that'd be pretty convenient. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how we fit 2 more in, because I guess we could put our shoulder and gloves on. I don't have the gloves, and the shoulder I don't believe is in red. Let me double check. What color is the shoulders? The shoulders are purple, and they're not in red. So double incorrect. They're the incorrect color, and they're the incorrect rarity, and they're the incorrect, basically everything. Anyways, let's just go mess with this real quick. So, this is mostly for doing quick kill stuff. So, enemies that we have literally like 0 chance to ever die to, essentially. So, basically, this is the quickest you can win. It might not be like the absolute quickest. That's like physically possible. But it is one of the quickest builds in the game if you don't care about dying. If you're doing content where you can't die. And most of it's pretty accessible. You just need 2 epic Firewalker rings is the main thing to really make it work. Everything else is pretty optional. And even with actually the epic does do double, so yeah, it is pretty important that they're epic though. And I got lucky and got one of them on Legends. Though epic's the main upgrade, because at rare they do 1 red, at epic they do 2, so they're literally doubled. And at legend they do 3, which obviously a bit of a benefit, but not too big a deal compared to the epic, because at epic it basically doubles its value, whereas at the legendary upgrades only an extra 50% value. But yeah, we're creating 5.5 red gems per turn. Also, this was that one move I was talking about earlier. When you're specifically not enraged, you could do stuff like that and try to set up stuff, because you won't get the extra destroys, because you specifically want it not to do the extra destroys, so you could use it for board control. And as you can see here, we have a full board ready to go, and then it auto ends our turn, which is a nice feature we can use from the most recent patch. And then he's dead. Unfortunately, we don't have another good red spell to put there, I don't think. I might actually want to replace that for something that doesn't create skulls. Creating skulls is generally a bad idea on almost every build, even builds like him. Oh yeah, that's the one other thing I think they fixed bug-wise. If I'm not mistaken, his Enrage actually increases the physical damage of this hit. Let's actually go test that. I haven't actually tested that yet. I didn't read all the bug fixes either. So I think they might have. Unfortunately, my turn didn't end, so I'm going to win before we even get the chance to see. But we can tell based on the number once we do have Enrage. The only problem is I think I just killed him, which is problematic. Oh, wait, no. I could actually find out this way. So if I do that... Oh, no, I killed him. Oh, wait, it did 4,000. So, yeah, I think it did do double. It might have even retroactively did the extra damage. Interesting. So I think it does work then. Yeah, that did it instantaneously. Like, the second we destroyed it, it already counted it for the ability. That was super quick. Yeah, definitely seems to be working. Oh, that's even more of a buff to Berserker then. Because it happened instantaneously, too. Which is pretty solid. Oh, the thing's in my way. Sad. Not like we even can gain barrier. Not like it would matter. He can hit us for, like, 1 damage. He could crit at 100% rate and wouldn't even get through the first 3 numbers, probably. Okay, so let's actually go see this in action. Let's go gain Enrage. Actually, I probably should have threw Fireball at him first. We could have had all the mana already. I'm not sure why I took that. Because we have the necklace that gives us the full mana. That's one of the reasons for it. But let's go check this enrage mechanic. No, oops, I think I might have already won. Whoops. Problem, I already won. I forgot there's only 3 battles and they kind of just all die instantly. Whoops. Also, did we just get haste there? I'm not sure if haste works. Should probably pay attention to see if it does. Oh, diamond. If I had room, I almost would do it. But we don't, so we can't. Goodbye, diamond. They need to have like a storage system for it. They said they were going to add one too. They did in the most recent patch. Not even sure if it's worth opening a level 5 diamond. But we're desperate for those chests. What was your other thing? I know, I read your thing. How far up do you mean? Do you mean everything with Berserker's Rage? I read that. Not sure if you meant something else. Level 5 diamond, I know, right? I think level 5 diamonds, they still have chance for legends. That's the main thing I would want from it, so. As long as they still have that legend chance. Oh, haste does work properly now? Okay. I know it didn't for a little while there. All right, let's go do the other event. So we have this other side one. Normally, I would use Paladin for this as well. However, it is possible to get away with the quick kill team, and this will allow us to go chest out the thing. So we're going to bring this here to go do the 2 here. Generally, you don't have to throw any gems at this, as long as you don't lose any of your score. This is one of the reasons why you might want to play it safe with Paladin. But if you're at a point where it's really low stats, you can still get away with something like this. So right off the bat, we're going to want to go and take all the reds. Be good to go. Oh, I keep taking that as if we actually need barrier. He should just die. I need that to get full mana. It feels weird not running Runic Ring. I'm so used to running Runic Ring on like every build. But this build runs with double Firewalker, so you can't run Runic. There's no room for it. Yeah, the easiest way is just repost your question is the easiest way. If I ever accidentally not read something you say. If you repost it, that's the easiest way for me to see it. Okay, so let's go see. So we kind of already saw this the previous battle where it hit 4,000. So right now it's going to do about 2,000 damage. Right now it's going to do, if it takes effect instantly, it should do nearly 4,000. So not only does it work, but it works instantly. That's actually really good. Because it has really good synergy with what he does. It also means he could finally build red-blue. The only problem is solo color builds are the only builds that exist because of how they rescaled 0.36 the previous patch previous to this patch. So now using any build that is not pure color is basically pointless. Which is kind of funny because they said they were trying to make it so there wouldn't be as many pure color builds. And they literally made it so anything that isn't a pure color build is useless. You can't even get away with 2 color builds now, effectively. So I'm not sure exactly what their logic was with that. And this most recent patch did literally nothing for it either. What works instantly? If you... So first, there was a glitch prior to this patch where anything that does physical damage off of a spell was not working properly. So I think Berserker has like 3 spells that does it. I can't remember the full list. I know these are 2 of them that we're using right now. But basically, he has physical damage spells that would not gain double damage from having Barbaric Rage. Now they do. However, the thing that's occurring instantly now is when you destroy the gem from the board, the physical damage calculation accounts for the Berserker Rage that you just destroyed. So, for example, when we use, I think this is the only ability that's actually relevant for, but when we use Cleave, it will instantly get the Berserker Rage. So, like right now, we can end up using it for it. Oh, except I can't destroy them. No! I can't show it now. But it would instantly get the additional damage from it. Whereas before, not only would it not work, but now we know it also works instantly. So, there's that going for it. It's only relevant for Berserker, though. I don't think there's any other interaction in the game where that would really be useful. What has something changed in the most recent patch? So basically, the best way you could possibly act is the way that it works, so that's kind of convenient. Oh yeah, spin attack too. Though you're basically never going to use spin attack. The only time you would ever use spin attack is if you're going 2 reds with spin attack plus the explosion. That's like the only time you would ever run it. The ice storm or whatever it's called, that one red explosion or the blue explosion thing. That's like the only time you would ever use spin attack, because then you would use 2 blue, 2 red. Also, I believe we were close to getting a level, weren't we? Should be able to gain it this stream. Haven't really been trying to level much lately because of how tedious the game has been. But I think we're finally reaching another level soon. What about Assassin? Is kind of opposite with the ultimate, right? Well, there's no damage increase. The damage increase is from keeping it on the board, not from destroying it. So you want to actively keep it on the board. But yes, all power gems do activate instantly when you break them. Like Shamans will give the buff immediately, though that's not as relevant. So yeah, we kind of already knew that it would do that, didn't we? Though we never had an instance where you could both do damage and pop it instantly, I don't think. It's the first instance of it. But no, what Assassin does is a bit different. Because its damage is based on the gem not being popped. It's more similar to Shaman's ability, this ability, than it is Assassin's. And that they both give an immediate buff when it's destroyed. I'm actually going to do this because this lowers it down by 1. Oh, so is that haste? We do. Oh, it's only 50% additional mana. I guess they nerfed it now that it's working properly. I could have sworn it was 100% before. Though 50% is still insanely good. Though we're pretty much gaining full mana regardless. Like, the extra 50% means pretty much nothing. The only way that could ever be useful is if it triggered on turn 1, though I don't think there's any way to gain haste on turn 1. Turn 2, yes, there's like a billion ways. But I don't believe there's a turn 1 way to obtain haste. Not that I recall off the top of my head. Poison Spray, I already have like 2 of them in Epic. Which of course is irrelevant because there's no point in extra copies of this. But I still keep it because we have the storage. Yeah, haste as a mechanic is strong. If you actually need the mana accumulation. The problem is later in the game, you kind of already have most of the mana accumulation you need. Like, once you get your mana loop rolling, the only time haste would be useful is for really big abilities. Like, for example, now that haste works correctly, we might be able to go run his really good ability. Because his ultimate's probably the best ultimate in the game. It's like a standard double convert in Gems of War, but with like a big damage burst on top of it as well. It's actually a really solid ability if we go check it real quick. It's I haven't been using it lately because of its mana cost. But now that haste is kind of a thing, especially with like the fact that you kind of have to use Firewalker with that option. Well, you don't have to use Firewalker, but you know, you can kind of slot it in. But now that you can end up doing it, it's actually pretty good. What am I looking for? I'm looking for I already forgot what I was looking for. Fail. I came to look for something. It was haste related. Why can I not remember? I came here to look for something and I forgot what it was now. Went through blah blah blah. Oh yeah, it is spell related. Oh yeah, I was gonna go check his legendary spell. Or the one that he gets last. So Flaming Skulls. It deals damage as fire, a really high amount. It's 300 mana cost though. And if Rage is active, which generally by the time you have full mana on this thing, it will be. It converts a bunch of yellow gems to red and a bunch of purple gems to skulls. Making it not only the only ultimate in the game that creates color of what the person uses, but it also ends up creating color into itself, while also being able to get skulls, which it needs, while also doing a really big damage burst. So it has pretty much everything you would ever really need in a spell, all in one. It's pretty nice. The biggest issue with it for the longest time is really high mana costs. Currently it is 300 mana costs. However, with haste, it is a lot less. So, yeah, that can end up working out pretty well for it. You'd specifically have to get haste active, though. Is this still broken? It was converting all, not just the number listed. Was it? I could have sworn it was just the number listed. I don't recall it ever doing all, though it's such a big number that it's pretty much doing all regardless, because realistically 7 yellow and 7 purple pretty much are all the gems on the board. Like, the board's so small that it's pretty much already doing all, even just at rare. I don't recall it always doing all, though. But it's such a big number that, by default, it's pretty much doing all to begin with. Anyways, we have a diamond ready. Let me go open that. Maybe we'll get an epic version of it. I don't have it in epic yet. So there's a few other things. Let's go see what we have inside. Come on, diamond! Show me a legend! Show me an epic that isn't useless in the correct color. Stop showing me those. Useless. 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 Aw, boo. Nothing good. Which is pretty much what most diamonds are. Nothing at all. And we'll take our 3 woods because we can. I'll probably set up 4 more woods. Unless we want to go take on a lot of level 100 dungeons. Actually, then again, I don't know, I might set up some diamonds. How much more time do we have to be able to take the rest of our chests? We have, I might set up some woods. And then we'll set up all of our ruby and diamonds if we even have enough to even do so. Probably not. Though we just get a whole nother diamond chest from the thing that we did earlier. Plus I still have one of the tickets. One of the, what's it called? The loot thingies. Anyways, let me go switch over to, oh yeah, I forgot. He's not at level 100 yet. I actually have to switch to a different character to do this. I need to go do that at some point. I just haven't yet, and I really should have before they nerfed the thing. Because now it will take forever to do. It'll take like an hour, if not longer, to go get him up. Which is kind of funny, because he's actually taken out level 100 challenges before through the other system. But because he hasn't specifically done it through the challenge system, or, you know, the one where you specifically go in there and go one at a time, it doesn't count, even though he's done it for the event system. But because he hasn't specifically done it for the battle system, you don't get the chest for it. Which is kind of funny, because he's taken out level 100 enemies so many times. Yeah, his chests are still level 50 because I never did the other thing. Anyways, where's the thing? Okay, I get used to this menu. So I think we just do woodens here. And then we'll just throw a mix of whatever after. So let's get a bunch of wood. Woodens are still pretty good. You have another lowest rarities thing. They give you a lot of crafting material. And if you consider how much they give you if you were to run them 24/7, they are like absurdly good. They're actually one of the best chests in the entire game, which might seem kind of weird. But if your only goal is to upgrade stuff, woodens actually do it better than any other chest in the game. The biggest issue is getting enough wooden chests to perpetually run that many, because that's the hard part. But if you could somehow have enough wooden chests to run it 24/7, they're actually the best chest in the game that isn't diamond. So they have that going for it. Because they drastically increase the rate at which you can upgrade everything. Also, we have so much upgrading material we still haven't used. I have like 2,000 for all the weapons, like 3,000 for all the armor, 2,000 or so for all the other thing, and about 3,000 for all the spells. And pets I've been trying to use, but I haven't been getting as many good pets. We need like epic plus ones to dump it into. And even some legends are even worth upgrading. Like, I still haven't upgraded that one spider, just because it's just such bad value to upgrade. We could literally upgrade like an epic green dragon like we have been, and it'd be better value than a fully upgraded spider at 45. Despite the other thing only being 35. Anyways, and it actually is the case. Like, look at the stats here. Like, this would go up to about 11%, maybe, not even, maybe 10%. And if we compare it to green dragon at 35, like, let's say that goes to 11%, which probably isn't even as high as it goes. Let's say it goes to 11, and we compare that to green dragon, which is at 17.4. Actually, this is almost better than the horse, even at Legends. Though it has a nice quick time. The problem is its recovery time is really low. It's only 9%, which leads to some situations where it's not done recovering occasionally. Which is why I kind of like Green Dragon. It does basically everything you need it to do. You can do it for an okay mission time. It has the bonus key chance. It's really solid. Snack Rat and the Pus Bag's still better than it, though. And technically even the Octopus. But its overall higher stats makes it just a really nice versatile one. Basically, if you need it quicker, you have it option to still have it quicker without it being like super quick. If you want to wait for recovery time, it's not as bad for recovery if you're doing a bunch of random times like we have been lately. And if you're doing for bonus key chance, it still has a pretty solid bonus key chance. While some things have higher, it has higher at the sacrifice of other stats. Though key chance is still the most useful stat by far, with mission time being the second one, and recovery time being the worst. However, having a super ultra low recovery time can backfire sometimes, especially if you're just doing like really random ones like we've been lately. Or pretty much setting whatever on whatever. Because recovery time can actually be kind of useful in these situations when you're running mixed chests. Anyways, where were we? We were about to go do something with Berserker. Honestly, I should go do all those challenges at some point. I don't think we're going to do it today, though. Some point. You have a legendary red dragonette. Nice. It's your favorite so far. Definitely seems good. I believe that one has the highest recovery time, but still has really good other stats. So we did all the challenges. We haven't touched PvP yet. Probably should. I believe it's like all purple restriction too. Also, I have no clue where everyone is. We've been in Elite for so long, and no one is still in this area for whatever reason. No one's in the last Elite. I think there's one person in Restricted now. Yeah, Sassy. So we have one other person. So they're either not doing their battles or they're losing to us. Though that kind of makes sense. We have some pretty good purple options. And though I do only have rare purple weapon, I don't have anything better than a rare weapon on it. So that's kind of weird if it actually is losing to it, because it's being poked for like 0 damage. The only thing that would kill it is the spell, which would probably one-shot it if it doesn't have barrier. But aside from that, the weapon's doing like 0 damage. Because I believe I'm using a level 1 epic longsword. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I guess we could go kind of do PvP right now. We're already in the menu. So we could just use quick kill for this. There is a weird way to get max mana. However, if you don't have your tree set to extra starting mana, this is near impossible to do without like super high equipment. But some people are at the point where they can do it, which is rather unfortunate because to this day we still do not have a Citadel reset feature, which basically means every single week in those leaderboards we get 250 less gems, just because they refuse to add a Citadel reset feature. Which means by the time they actually actively add a Citadel reset feature, we effectively would have probably lost about, realistically, when they're actually going to probably implement it, probably 5,000 gems. Somewhere's around there. Some amount of way too many gems we would have lost by the time they actually implemented it. So I should probably go for the fire ability here if we're doing it for PvP, because everyone has like infinite armor. I don't really care too much about the score. I just care about if we win the battle. We could win with almost like no score, because it doesn't really matter as long as we get like one more flawless one. And there's someone here who should have low enough stats that it just does it. So we don't have to change it. Though we have enough team slots now that we could easily just change it if we truly needed to. But for now, we might as well stick with the normal. Oh, someone has a Dark Dragonette. Level 45. And obviously we're just running the little horsey with the other thing. They're, I believe, the only two I have at 45. And of course you get a little bit extra stats. It's only 9%, but 9%'s more than not 9%. It's like 9% more power in life. The power being relevant and the life being very, extremely unrelevant. As far as the extra bonus that it has. Wouldn't that be funny if that one-shotted him? If we crit, he actually dies. Oh, it still killed him even without the crit. That was without double damage or anything, too. Skulls hit hard on legendary weapons. Alright, that was the last flawless score we needed, right? Yeah, so now we get the max reward. And by max reward, I mean 250 gems. Because there's no way we're going to get above that with this build. It is quite literally impossible for us to get over this score with this build that we're using right now. You have to use really specific mana builds to get above it, which require you not only to have your Citadel set to mana, but also having a bunch of perks that give you like extra starting mana, as well as just using all the things that have it, like Dragon Guard Helm and stuff like that, in a really high rarity version. As well as Bone Rings still help, even though they're not as effective for it. They would still get a score if they lost, right? I'm not sure what you mean by that. But basically, there's two things you need to make sure you do in PvP normally. The main one is make an okay position on leaderboard, which requires you to actually score well. though the second is just don't lose. Because once you have max score, or as high as you're realistically going to go, you know, like right now we can't possibly win in 0 turns because this build is literally impossible to win in 0 turns, even though builds can. But the specific one is impossible, and we don't have the gear to do so, or the Citadel. But because of that, once we've had max score like we do right now, the only thing we care about is winning. Like, literally nothing else. So as long as we win in a quick pace, even if we take damage or other things, or even take HP damage, which will lower the actual score, the only thing that matters is how much honor we're getting from the battle. Because at this point, we already did like everything we need for PvP. We know that we're going to get 250 gems at the end of the week, and that's that for that. However, the main reason why you still keep doing it most days, or every day if you have the time for it, is it keeps giving you honor. And honor is used for keys. Ideally, use them for ruby keys. I could probably go show that in my guild. I don't think they bought it out yet. But even if they did, I could still show it. Oh, so why did I do that? We could have already won. But luckily, we don't need to score, but still. I'll go show it in guild real quick. But it converts into keys. And you can use 150 honor for a ruby key. And you can use 140 honor for 2 gold keys. And that's basically where you use 100% of your honor, because everything else is horrifically bad value in comparison to it. You do have to be in a guild that's active enough to have it, though. Also, we have lost like 5,000 to 10,000 crests because for whatever reason, they will not kick this person. We've sent a support ticket for like a month now. Also, Isabel, did you ever get more reply on that? They've literally done an update and everything. Oh, I can't show the key because they bought it out already. But, yeah, you can end up, of course, you still have these 3 offers. There's still nothing to use food on, so food deal dies within like 30 seconds of reset. Normally this dies too. This is the key I was talking about. 150 glory gives you the key. The reason mine is so high is or honor, I mean, is I normally make sure I keep a reserve to make sure we never dip under. We did one day though, because I forgot to check, and apparently the rest of my guild didn't do anything for it. But unfortunately, because normally they buy it out like this, so I don't need to worry about it. I save a lot of my honor just to make sure it never dips too far, so we could just go buy it up to make sure it's good to go. So I deliberately normally go for gold keys, also because I have less gold keys. But I kind of just let it grow and just make sure it never dips under 2 times gold key, because that's really bad when that happens. And of course, Ordeal. Ordeal's not as good a value. However, if you're just looking for upgrades in a pinch, or you don't feel like allocating your ore, and you just have a lot of it at a given point, it's a good place to dump it. It's a bit less value now that we don't get double ore, because you know there's so many things competing over what gets used on ore. It's not horrible value though. It's definitely better than using the ore guy from the guild thing, or you know the task, whatever, the follower related one. He scaled really badly. Like if you're gonna get ore, you're gonna do it through that, because this is still the best way of ore in the game. As far as like ore, or not ore, but I mean upgrading material. As far as ore to upgrading material ratio, Ordeal 4, 6, and 7 are still the absolute best thing in the entire game for number of ores used relative to upgrading material received. The only thing that was slightly better was Evelyn. However, you can no longer craft with Evelyn anymore to get keys. So now the absolute best value for ore to upgrading material ratio is now doing Ordeal 4, 6, or 7, which generally uses 6 and 7 going back and forth. So yeah, technically this deal got buffed since you can't use Evelyn anymore, because that previously was the best way to get ore value, because you would normally get like, you know, dozens of crafting material for using a key, but now you have to do it through here, which is still a good way of doing it. Plus this is instantaneous. You don't have to wait at all. So for example, if I want to get 3 of these right now, we can, which we might, because it makes sure it gets upgraded. We'll see. I'm running a little low on ore, but yeah, there's that. But anyways, that's where you use your honor, basically. Don't use it anywhere else. There's like a whole shop in the thing for it, but don't use it on anything that isn't like an honor deal 6 or 7. Or try getting into a guild that does. And if they would ever let me kick this person, kick from Kingdom. Kick from Kingdom. It won't let us kick it. And he's been here for a month, and they won't kick it manually. And we've lost at least like 5,000 crests because he's been here for like a month. And it will not let us kick him. Like, I can kick anyone else. Like, well, then again, I don't want to click. I think it has a warning menu. But if I click on, I'll show it still. Kick from Kingdom. Please have a warning menu. Good. Cancel. But you see that. It won't even let me do that. It won't let us kick him. It won't let us kick him. All right, what did you mention? Yes, we still have an open ticket. They are having trouble with the player as his name and his symbols, and he's still looking to find him in the system. Oh no. That's unfortunate. How can they not find it just through the guild itself, though? Like, they know what our guild is. That's rather unfortunate. We better be getting compensation for it. We've been 29 members forced by the game for over a month now. Which means we're not getting any progress on those from that. We're not getting any crests for the total. Or any help on anything else. And we can't do anything about it. It's just stuck there. Anyways, where were we? Let's go do, let's do more PvP, I guess. Get more dailies done. Also, we've been streaming for 2.5 hours, and we still have not done all the dailies, by the way. Though we have been chatting and messing with other stuff. Though, realistically, when you're doing dailies, you're probably doing other stuff as well. Like, I know I'm normally watching, like, YouTube videos and other things. So, we're still not done with dailies. I don't know. We could maybe see. The last time they did compensation for something, it was horrific. Like, the last time they did guild compensation, they did it for when guilds basically got reset back to 0. And it wasted, like, thousands upon thousands of gem value across guilds. Because if you had any honor deal upgraded, it got set back all the way to level 1 and stuff like that. And the compensation they gave, I think, was like 100 gems. When we lost basically the equivalence of anywhere to 3,000 to 5,000 gems in value. So yeah, they compensate really horrifically. So even if we get compensation, I'll be surprised if it's even like 1 gold key. Even though we've probably lost like 2 whole gold key or ruby keys across the entire guild from it, plus 5,000 crests, plus any progress on all the other side stuff. That would help us keep it up, like the ordeal. Or the time when the honor deal went down. Which made me have to waste like 20 gold keys worth of things. Just because we didn't have one more person to go buy 1 more key. Let's see, we'll throw that down. There's a lot of things like that. Let's see. He's just dead. There we go. Hex can be a little annoying. Hex makes your spells do half damage. It's not too relevant most of the time because you're already doing so little damage. Also, how is there a level 1 here? I think someone accidentally did it for one of their battles. And because it does it based on the first battle you do, there's a level 1 here. Or level 3, I should say. Which is kind of funny. Or maybe they deliberately did it so people could one-shot it. With the full mana build. Because sometimes the full mana build doesn't really have enough damage to really do anything. So it might be a strategic plant. Though how would you strategically plan it all the way in the final thing? Oh, I guess it could still be the case. Because you could still be in the same guild and coordinating that way. Because they know that most people in the top rank are probably in their guild anyways if they're in a big guild. So it could be a strategic plant to make sure that the people who are in there are getting max amount of points. Which is basically an exploit, but I don't think they really care at this point. Because you could literally just set a low level thing there so that everyone else is capable of killing the thing in your guild or, you know, everyone else who's in the league thingy. It's kind of like the equivalence of setting firebomb in PvP. But imagine if it actually mattered. Like, imagine if it gave gems for doing that, though. Well, I guess it kind of does. Setting firebomb in Gems of War does give gems, but it's such a small amount relative to how many you can get in the game. Also, one thing I found weird about of Puzzle Quest 3, I almost have more gems in this game than Gems of War. Yet I feel like there's nothing to use gems on in this game that are worthwhile. Like, there's so many things to use gems on, but so few things that feel worth using gems on. Because glyphs are way too overpriced. The daily reset, to a certain point, seems like it's starting to get too overpriced as far as, you know, what point you go to it in. Buying most of the relics, or not relics, but buying, well, relics too. But buying most things with gems in the daily offer shop is generally not worth it, relative to how much you get in return. Relative to what else you could use the gems on. And I don't know, just like the few small things that you can kind of poke on. But nothing feels super worth it. The event thing can be okay value, though. And some stuff like that. But I don't know, it just does not feel like there's that much of a value in where you can use gems. And the value that you do get from various things are completely all over the place. From like ridiculously high value, like spending 20 gems on like a daily reset thing. Which to a point, I almost feel like I should start going for the 40 gem thing while we have VIP. Because with VIP, the 40 gem one almost seems worth it too. For what you can get in return. But then we're burning through 60 gems per day. Which starts to add up. But, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like there's like anything really super worth it. Like in Gems of War, it's pretty obvious what you spend gems on. Like tomorrow, we're going to be spending it on the event that's coming out. We're going to dump like 2,500 on it. We'll do that. If we have anything good on our daily offer, we'll throw it there. And like stuff like that. Like, you know, like what you're going to be spending gems on way before anything. Whereas in this game, it's really inconsistent. You don't know when, and there's just not really much to spend it on that feels worth it. I don't know, it's just a bit weird how it is. Like, the variety is so high for what you can spend it on, yet the actual substance of what you can spend it on is just so low. Is this played on an emulator currently? Yes, I'm playing this on BlueStacks currently, a Android emulator. It does not have an official PC build. It will eventually. And by eventually, probably by the end of this year, I think they're aiming for. It currently does not have one, though it will be released on Steam when it does, so at least there's that. At least it's not going to be like Epic Games Store exclusive or something. But no, it's going to be on Steam when it does come around. When it is probably by the end of this year, so hopefully in the next few months. But currently it is only on Android, and they're trying to get it soon onto iOS. I believe there's like a closed beta for iOS, but soon it's going to be an open beta for it. And then after that, they'll probably try to get it onto Steam. And then eventually after that, they're going to try to get it on consoles. So that'll probably be way a ways. Like, I'm pretty sure a year. Even though they keep doing like some small patches to keep doing controller support, it's going to be at least like a year before it comes out to console. But we can expect a Steam release probably before the end of the year. Anyways, we got to go purple for the rest of them, so we might as well go clear the rest of these out. Might as well, or at least some more of them. Oh, our chests are ready. Oh, some of our chests, the others aren't, but I guess we'll go through 3 more woodens. Come on, something good, something good. Plus, we'll have to change our hero class anyway, so perfect timing. Because we're going to have to for the chests as well. Serpentine shield. Anything good? Nope. All trash. Rubies do have a chance at legends, so the chance is so absurdly low compared to diamonds. Even diamonds are already low. Like rubies, I think you have to go through like hundreds upon hundreds to really get it. Whereas with diamonds, you could probably go through like 100 and probably get a pretty good chance at diamonds. Because I think it's like 1% chance. I mean, a good chance at legends. Whereas in ruby, it's more like a... Oh! Interesting. I haven't seen one of these from a drop, I don't think, ever. I wonder if they tweaked it in the most recent patch. Probably not. But crystal. So there is a small chance when opening ruby and diamond chests that you get a crystal for a follower. This low chance needs to be way higher than what it is now. However, there's one. One of like literal dozens that we need, but that is one. Okay, that's a really good drop. Now give us like 100 more of them, and even that won't be enough. We need hundreds upon hundreds more. Because each follower, just for the final upgrade, to get it from 45 to 50, which will then allow you to start doing legends crafts from it. That requires a total of 40 of those. You get about 1 every 3 days. In the current state of the game. Of course, that could change. Because you don't get them from Evelyn anymore, so there's only 2 locations where they drop. From chests, like you just saw, though that is ultra rare. Or from the daily system, which I did get today, and it happens about once every 3 days, I would say, or so. And that's it. There's currently no other way because Evelyn doesn't drop them anymore. Actually, I wonder if he even says that on this thingy anymore. It might still say that Evelyn does. Because I'm pretty sure they didn't fix the text. This seems like something they would forget to do. What's the easiest way to check? If I click on one of them, does it tell you the breakdown? Or do you have to have it on a drop screen? Oh, I think I have to have it on a drop screen. Oh no, I should have checked while I was there. Because it might have actually said, like, Evelyn as one of the options of where you get it. Whereas that's not the case anymore. Oh, we gained a Citadel level. That has an audio cue, but I couldn't hear it. Also, going into Fire Mastery is way better than going into Elite Damage Bonus. This was mostly when Berserker was useless. I'm not sure why I keep going into Elite Bonus Damage, because Fire Mastery is actually better at this point because of Berserker not being useless now. I was kind of hoping this patch would finally add a Citadel Reset feature. Not sure how they still do not have it. I literally made a thread on it within week 1 of the beta back in... Gosh, it was almost late March. It was like really early April. But, so it's been 6 months. And they still haven't done it. And the game's been needing it for that entire duration. And they've gone through like so many patches and still have not done it. I was really surprised this patch did not have it. But it is desperately needed. I don't even care what it costs. It could be 500 gems. I would reset it. I was pushing it a bit, but I would do it. Ooh, blue Dragon Guards things. Problem is Dragon Guard set's kind of meh. And having that in blue is also... then again, do I have blue Tome? I could actually have some synergy with Blue Tome. That's actually not horrible for set bonuses, because I'm pretty sure I have Blue Tome. I think I have Epic Blue Tome and Epic Green Tome. So you know what? That's actually not useless. It's pretty bad, but it's not useless. Who else is crafting or needs to be crafting? Probably just going to go into another armor. Hope we get lucky. Also, I had to scrap a couple Epic Saviors before, and now I need a bunch of Epic Saviors for the thing. Also, why is all my chests going at once? Gosh. Fine, I'll take this one as well. Then we'll set a bunch of woodens. I know, this game has been around for 6 months now, as far as open beta. Boo, nothing. Come on, diamonds. At least give us an epic that we're just going to scrap immediately. At least give us a useless epic. At least give us not common, gosh. Amazing that diamonds even can drop commons. Oh, what's funny is I think I have exactly enough woodens to run 4. Oh, never mind. Well, I thought I had 5 slots open. Apparently only 4. And that'll probably be the last batch that we can get down. And I'll set a bunch of diamonds and rubies later so I don't have to check it for a while. I haven't been as paranoid about constantly checking it though. Mostly because it's so hard to get chests in the current state of the game. I just want to save these for later, so I'm going to take these lower ones. I want to save the higher bonus for the bigger chests, like diamonds. So we ideally get a diamond key out of it, obviously. So I don't want to use the really big guys yet. Oh, so that weird glitch keeps happening. Or it does like an invalid number for the thing. Alright, there we go. Let them go to their woods. He'll have the other thing soonish. Though we'll probably end the stream before that he gets the diamond down. Oh no, maybe we'll still be streaming then. We'll see. We'll see. We haven't streamed Puzzle Quest 3 lately, so might go a bit longer. Kind of already went for a while, almost at 3 hours. Hello, DS. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Actually, last time we streamed was before we went on that vacation, didn't we? To see family. Hope everything's been going well, DS. If anyone else does anything else you want me to go over, let me know. Make sure to do so. Let's go make sure we're using the correct build on Assassin. So we need to be using a pure purple build, which I should probably go rename to pure purple. Let's see. Pure purple. There we go. Currently, all we have is a little bit of a warlord bonus, which is just a little bit of power. Not sure we can really get much else for bonus. Let's see. I don't think we can really get anything out of it. What do we have under here? Do we have any different purple leggings? I have royal. Let me check based on purple. That'd be the easiest way of doing this. Let's do category based on purple. Okay, Blood Fang's not useful. Royal. Can we do anything out of Royal? What's the Royal first perk again? It can make big gems bigger sometimes. Doing that would give us synergy. What are we getting out of this? It has Dark Pack, though it's not leveled. It's not leveled anymore, though. Unless we go waste a bunch of resources to max it, which I don't think I'd want to. They need to do a gear overhaul before I want to commit to upgrading anything. Because, of course, that's a really limited resource. And one of the whole reasons why I've been saving them to even begin with. Elite Protection is completely pointless in PvP, though. But it would still give us more power, so isn't it worth it just for the burst damage? Because 1% starting mana is doing, like, nothing. Any amount of starting mana with how we're going to be doing the battle is going to be almost nothing. Plus has some cleave damage. This gives us extra starting armor. What if we need it? I highly doubt it. We already have enough. I might go for Royal. Just the amount of power that's going to give is probably worth it. Oh, it's giving it based on rare, though. I forgot because the weapon's rare. So it's not giving the epic amount. But it gives 70% chance to be one size bigger whenever we make big gems. Is that going to be that helpful, though? Because I don't think that works on Save Your Helm. I'm pretty sure it can't make those... I'm pretty sure I can't make those 5s into 6s. So you know what? I might actually just stick with this. Because how else are we going to get a royal piece? What other royal pieces are there in the set? Legs. Oh, royal legs would actually be a good trade-off. Because we're just using Serpentine right now. It gives us slightly less power. 15 less power. Does that even make that big of a difference? Not sure that trade-off's worth it. I think we're just gonna stick with what we have. Also, all the benefits from that are so much lower now too because we don't have it leveled. I guess we'll just roll with this. I don't think I have any purple gloves. No, I don't. Not currently. Anyways, let's just roll with it. I've had purple gloves in the past, obviously. They have since been obliterated somewheres in the abyss. Also, stun is really bad to use in this game, by the way. Which is kind of funny because perma-stunning is literally the whole main mechanic. But using actual stuns is horrible. It's a weird contradiction, but it is the current state of the game. Where stuns are meta, but using a stun ability is like the worst ability you could ever use. Maybe not the absolute worst, but it's just a weird combination. And the main reason for this is it's more efficient to create gems onto the board than it is to physically stun. And the only reason we use it is because of its really low mana cost. Or, well, low relative to other options. Oh, so he has an epic version of that sword. You can tell because it's solid color instead of what on earth that design is. Also, if you heal back up, you still recover your points. No, we already healed. As long as your HP doesn't take damage, it counts as taking no damage. If your armor or resistance takes damage, it does not count as damage. Which makes armor one of the best stats in the entire game. Which I still find hilarious compared to Gems of War because, like, everything in this game seems like overcompensation for mistakes in Gems of War. Because, like, everything that's horrible in Gems of War is, like, overpowered in this game. Pretty much. With armor probably be one of the funniest ones for it. Because there's literally almost no stat that matters other than armor in this game. Yeah, in Gems of War, it's like the near opposite unless you're using like Rowan or a few other exceptions. Where like 99% of the time armor doesn't matter. And in this game, it's like the only stat that exists of these three. Like your HP could be 1 and your armor is the main one that matters. Like you could literally have 1 resistance and 1 HP. And as long as you have a good amount of armor, it would not matter at all. Assuming that your max HP was also 1. You just have to make sure not to take damage. Specifically on HP. Resistance can help with that, though it's much more important that you have the armor there. What's this? Weapon does like 0 damage because it's currently a rare level 1. It all matters in Guild Wars. Yeah, it matters in areas where you need to not die. Or if you have a boost ratio where you can actually damage with it. In this game, you need it not only to not die, but it also dictates your score in pretty much every scoring system. Because you lose points when you take HP damage. And realistically, the main way you're going to take HP damage in almost every situation is them tearing through all your armor and then hitting your HP. There are a few other situations, but generally that is the main way you're going to take damage to HP at all. Realistically. At least in the current state of the game anyways. As well as the entire history of Puzzle Quest 3. And the main way that you kill is off of resistance, and the main way that you survive is off of armor. As well as preserve score and scoring related game modes. Yeah, the graphics for this game is a bit weird. I'm still not a huge fan of the graphic style, to be honest, either. You kind of get used to it after a while. But yeah, the graphic system is a bit weird. They do have some pretty nice ones coming into the game later. But it just looks a little dated as far as like the way that they went for it. Luckily, I don't normally care about graphics generally with any game I play. So even though I'm not like a huge fan of it either, like it does what it needs to do in most situations, so it's fine. Like the graphical style of a game is generally not something that will ever keep me away from it. As long as it's visually readable. Okay, that should be dead. Or very close to it if he's not. There we go. Also, it's kind of funny that we have the same hero. They are going to be adding more skins to the game, they said. Which I find kind of weird because in Gems of War, they never did really do skins because they said they couldn't really make money on it properly. Probably because they overpriced for it like crazy. And I'm almost scared to see the prices they'll do for cosmetics in this game. Probably like $20 or $30 for a skin for a character. Which means we're going to never have any skins unless they give it to us for free. Because there's no way I'm spending that much on one. I don't think there's any game I've ever spent that much on a skin on. Accumulation in total, yes. But like any one specific skin? Actually, that's not true. Dota 2 I have, but that's because I resold it for more money. So, did I really spend money? Like, technically, it was like a $30 or $40 skin. But then it sold for, I think one of them sold for like 50. The other one was almost a little under 100. So, was it really spending money if you make more money from the skin than what you spent on it? Well, like when games have like legendary skins that cost like 20 plus bucks, I basically never get them unless there's an alternative way in the game to get it. You're buying specifically if it's pink. I'm not sure what hero class would get pink. We don't have like a healer kind of thingy. Like no current hero class would really work with pink. Though they are adding more that might. Hello, game? Freeze? Frozen? Crash? I think the game crashed. I would assume the game crashed. Though I don't want to exit out because I'm not sure if it will count it. Just crash already if you're going to crash. Load or crash? Choose one. Also, this is what it looks like when I play on phone sometimes. Except it moves one frame every, like 3 seconds. This is just frozen. Okay, I should probably X out soon. But I will give it about 15 more seconds. Normally it crashes if it's going to do something like this on PC. Never seen it like freeze like this. Might be a new feature added in the most recent patch. Good old PvP freeze screen. I might have to accept a loss for this. Though hopefully it already counted. Yeah, we're going to have to X out of this. We are indeed frozen. Okay, let's go try this again. Puzzle Quest 3, go. With blue stacks. Also some kind of ad for some kind of Star Trek thing. And now for Ebony. And now we got a screen. Loading, loading, loading. Oh, what? Did servers die? There's a chance servers might have died. Sometimes servers die. And then it just doesn't come back for a while. Which would mean stream ended. No, I think it's on right now. It wouldn't be loading otherwise. Just seems to be a random crash for no point. Oh, you asked earlier, but I missed it. Sorry. What was your question? When will the full release be? We don't know. But they did say that they're trying to get to the point where they're releasing. Though I believe they might be releasing in beta still. And not like a 1.0 patch. So I'm not sure. But I believe their goal originally was before the end of this year. And of course, we are nearing the end of this year. That would be, you know, before the end of December. Realistically, probably by November. Because they wouldn't want to do it like all the way in December. They'd want it a little bit before then. Wait, this is when Gems of War came out. Its full official release was November. Oh, it did still count. Nice. Okay. But the full official release was in like mid-November. But they still had like phone versions going as early as like September. It's still on as far as like fully released or, you know, fully beta released, or, you know, not full release. But yes, it's only available currently on Android, though they do have a closed beta on iOS. So if you have an iOS device and you type in Puzzle Quest 3, you might be able to find it and still sign up for it. It wasn't like automatic get in though. They were just taking like X amount, so they might have already done that. But iOS should have it very soon. A like, you know, actual like beta version on it that functions. But currently it's basically just Android. And Steam should be getting it in the next few months or less. which I can't wait because then we don't have to use blue stacks anymore, which has so many issues. Oh, we have audio again, by the way. I guess we'll keep audio on. Let me know the second audio does something weird and screeches at your ears. We'll leave audio on for now, and as long as it doesn't do anything too bad, we'll leave it on.
That was a heroic effort.
But let me know if it does anything weird, and I'll turn it off immediately. But if the audio behaves, we'll keep it on. But it likes to be very glitchy, so we'll see how long it stays stable. Oh, yeah, something else I forgot to mention that came in this patch. They added more backgrounds. Not for PvP, but for like other questing in other areas. A couple of them look pretty cool. Just kind of give more environments where you're fighting, more variety, so you're not in the same place every time. Despite the fact that you literally fight the exact same location every time you do PvP. It's still unchanged. It'd make a lot of sense if it just did like a random one. I don't know. That or some kind of like special arena. Because this is literally just the background for the original dungeon that you enter. At least give PvP its own background if you're going to make it be the same background every single time. At least give it a unique one that isn't used anywhere else other than PvP. Especially if you're going to add like 17 in a patch. It wouldn't hurt to add one more to give PvP its own unique one. If you're already making that many extras. Oh, is this your sassy? That's funny. Yeah, it's hard to tell who people are because the name in this game isn't consistent based on who you are. It's based on what hero you used. So it could be different for every single leaderboard. Like here we're mentioned as Tassa as well as the other one, but if we check this one we're mentioned as Berserker, I mean. Because it's based on what character you do it as. Not the uniform one that it's on your profile. Like you set 1 to be globally, like where you get mentioned like in global chat. Like if I say hello everyone in chat. Hello everyone. It shows up as Tacit, even if we weren't using Tacit. As well as in our guild and everything. But if you do go for a leaderboard, like let's say the event leaderboard that we just did earlier, it should show as hero, I believe. Because, oh yeah, we still have to do more battles here later. Because that's what we end up doing it as. Yeah, hero. So it just does it based on whatever your character you did. Or what hero you used. Yeah, I named a generic hero as hero. I named the other one Ketris, though. For Ketris the Bull from Gems of War. Because he looks like it. Doesn't he look like Ketris the Bull? Like, not exactly, but... Like, if you could find anything that resembles him, like, pretty much the most. Doesn't this look like Ketris the Bull? Pretty much. Like, that's pretty close. Like, not exactly the same, but that's pretty similar. Still level 1, though. I was originally going to use him for when the game released, but it looks like they're going to add more hero classes then, upon release. So we'll just do those new hero classes instead. No point in doing one that we already have maxed. Anyways, where were we? Let's go do more PvP, then we'll probably finish out the event thing. Maybe we'll try another 500 dungeon. Probably not, though. That was extremely tedious. One nice thing about how we have him set up right now, I can actually use him for both the 2 tournaments right now. Because this tournament also requires using a longsword. So that's pretty convenient because, well, we don't have to change anything. We just go straight into it. Unfortunately, we don't have any actual enemies here. They're all bots. Well, technically everywhere's all bots, but you know. There's no actual people currently within this tournament. I'm the only one all alone. Because no one's gotten to max rank for the final thingy yet. Which means we're going to get single left points for some of them since they're not level 50. Yeah, we're still alone in Elite. I'm not sure where everyone is. Hopefully we'll see more in a couple weeks. But that's almost a bad thing because it's kind of nice killing these things instantly. They die a lot quicker. The only problem is we get less honor. But that's the trade-off of having the sanity of this taking less time. Because they pretty much die instantly the second we do anything on the board. Making this the quickest category since there's no actual real people here. Makes the bots easier to kill because they have really weak stats compared to actual people. And most of them just get one-shotted, which is convenient. The only problem is the lower level ones give less honor. So that one was level 50, so it did give 10. But if they're not level 50, it's going to give less than 10. Like, for example, this level 23 is going to give us like 7 honor, which means we're missing out on some honor. Even with the 5% bonus, it does literally nothing. This kind of evens out with the sanity of it not taking as long. If only PvP was actually this quick. Take a gem, they die. They need to do less battles for this or something. Like 5 for each or, you know, something similar. But, oh, I forgot to check the honor. I was going to go check how many honors we got there to show that it is less. Unfortunately, I forgot to check at the end of the battle. This one will be the full amount since it's level 50. It's based on their level as far as how much you get. Still not sure why they have it based on that. If anything, it should be based on performance. But then again, that would get annoying too, because then you always have to make sure you get high score. And then the builds that can consistently do it automatically would get skewed higher than all the other ones. Here, we can see at the end of this battle. A nose ring would be a downside of battle, I know, right? I never understand the point of piercings, to be honest, like that. I don't understand the fascination in piercings. Like tattoos I can somewhat more understand, even though I would never do it. But piercings seem just so much more pointless relative to something like that. Like right here, we can see the honor. If it would let me. Come on. Yeah, you can see we only got 8 honor because it's not level 50. Which is unfortunate. But at least it's slightly quicker. And we can't really do nothing about no one being in the tournament with us. Well, in about a month or less, there should be some people. What's weird is we reached it so quickly, even without doing it every day. Because we don't do PvP every day. Yeah, no one else is in the tournament with us still, despite that. But they'll join us eventually. Kind of like how we were alone for the event leaderboard. And then eventually we have like 10 in the current category now. Give it a month or two and it'll probably be almost 100 once everyone else catches up from the other leaderboards. Because the leaderboard kind of just like shoves you all the way up. Because it gives you a bunch. And it's per leaderboard, and there's 10 different leaderboards, one per category for the event tiers. Which is kind of weird because they actually did an absurdly high amount of leaderboard for that. I'm actually rather surprised. It's the most amount of leaderboards any specific one team mode has in the game. 10 of them. Though by the end, everyone's just going to be stuck at the highest one. Eventually. Because there's no way to go down on it, unlike PvP leaderboards, where theoretically, if you lost enough trophies, you would go down. I don't think that has happened to anyone. But it is technically physically possible to go down on leaderboards in PvP, even though the leaderboards don't have any additional loot for going higher. If anything, they actually have less loot. We're getting less loot from being in this category than we would be if we were lower. Which makes no sense whatsoever. So we've probably lost anywhere from 50 to 100 honor keys from the fact that all enemies don't give the same exact amount of honor. Oh, did I say honor keys? I mean ruby keys. And I'm pretty sure we will never get any compensation for such a thing. Despite the gem value of that being like over 10,000. Because every single one of these battles we're losing honor. Just because there's no one in the tier with us. And it's been like this for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. I'm not sure when we've really had enough of a lead where we were always ahead. But it was pretty much always. Because a lot of people weren't doing the level 50 tournaments initially. And we've done it almost every single week since the game launched. I think there was only like 3 we might have missed because we didn't have the weapon back when the weapons were really hard to get back in the previous format where you had to have one really specific weapon of one really specific color. But even back then, I think we only missed 3 of them. There's been many days we've skipped on it, but as far as like entire weeks, I think there's only been 3 weeks where we weren't able to get in the history of the game so far. Counting when we first started, the first week, because obviously you can't get in then, because you're not even level 50 yet. Because I think it took us about a week to hit level 50. Oh, pet's ready. Please be epic, or one that's not useless. That is both neither of those 2 things. That is very much neither of those two things. Anyways, I think the only thing we haven't done yet now is, also 3-hour stream. Still haven't not done all the dailies yet. That is how bad this daily system is. Just to grasp how bad it is. I know we've been talking and doing other stuff to stream too. And going over a few other things, or a lot of other things. We did that for almost an hour. But we've been streaming for, basically, by the time we finish it, over 3.5 hours. And the daily system still is not done. The daily system. Not like farming, like literally everything in the game. Just the physical daily system for the game is not done after 3.5 hours. That is how bad the game is currently for daily system. Which is obviously exceedingly bad. Let's see. We'll go take the hero. But yeah, they really need to rescale it. I'm surprised no changes were done directly to it. Like, some stuff was done indirectly, like, you know, some stuff being scaled around, and theoretically you having more power now that gears things are a thing, or, you know, synergies with gears. But, yeah, it's like a 5 or 10% quicker speed. That's not enough relative to the total amount of time it takes. Anyways, let's go use our never lose build. Let's go lose with never lose build. No. So that would be funny. Let's see. That would go kind of counter to the name, though. This is a really bad start. Actually, that's not true. This is actually a pretty good starting point. We get value there, then we get value there, then we get value there. Oh, and I forgot to take value there. If we don't get barrier there, there's something wrong. Really?
That was a heroic effort.
We got heroic, but we didn't get barrier. Go figure. How does that work out? That doesn't really matter. I could just use special. Ideally, we wouldn't have wanted to have to use this. But just in case he crits, I have to. That was a very unlucky. But that's guaranteed barrier. Sets up into next turn. And now we already won the battle. Now it's just a matter of the time to actually win it. And that's the big issue with them buffing up stats like crazy as well. There's so many battles where you know you already won, but it just takes forever to win. Because they're not keeping the damage that you get relative to the enemy's durability. Like, one single enemy can take as long as an entire battle in Gems of War, technically. And then you have to do that like 8 times for this. And at minimum, you have to do that 2 times per day for the daily system. And if you want to go higher in leaderboard, you have to do even more than that. And the other issue with it too is you have to do it daily. So it's not like Gems of War events where you have the option to, which I really wish they would change that at least, if nothing else. Where you at least have the option if you have more time on one day to do it all. Like how in Gems of War you basically get the Monday event done, or, you know, like early on in the week and do almost all your battles, if not all of them. And then later on you might like do them all on Saturday if you still need more or something. Or, you know, later in the week. Like, you don't have to specifically do it literally every single day. Other than Guild Wars. But even Guild Wars, you theoretically could still save for Sunday and still get the full amount of points. It just doesn't count for the daily reward thingy. But as far as your guild's total, it still count for that. They're doing it for player retention. They can't keep it that horrible, though. Player retention or not. Because if you currently want to run the amount of time, which I never do, I haven't done it a single time since they've reworked it. But if you were to do every single daily and maintain Diamond Chest 24/7, it takes about 5 hours per day. In the current state of the game. Before, it was doable in 1 hour. Keeping all diamonds and level 100 diamonds and doing the all dailies. Currently, it is 5 hours in the current state of the game. That is how much it has been changed. Bad. I don't even know if they realize it's even that much of a difference. Because I'm pretty sure most of them haven't played the game. Too much of a degree. Like, we already know Salty hasn't. For sure. Like, the account she streams on, I'm pretty sure is level 3 right now. Not level 3 on, like, the 4th or 5th hero class. Like, literally just a level 3. I don't even think it's to the first boss yet. And based on what other devs said, like they've completed out the game maybe once or twice, like to level 50, but they haven't done like end game content, like the daily system or trying to even attempt a level 100 dungeon or even a level 60 dungeon or anything, which are a bit more manageable than 100. Oh, hello! What is that, Cherry Bomb? I'm not sure how you pronounce the beginning of that name. But welcome! That might be incorrect pronunciation. Oh, is it Clip Bomb? It might be Clip Bomb, actually. Not sure how. The one's throwing me off. Let's see what throw that down. But welcome! Hope all's been well. You saw Devin chat the other day? Which chat? Well, Salty streams Puzzle Quest normally on Wednesday. She didn't last night, though. Community manager for the game. So she said she will be next week. It'll also be the first stream since this patch, so if you have any feedback to give her, that would probably be the time. Oh, and Global? Oh, I haven't seen any of them in Global, though. I also haven't been checking Global much in this game lately. What do we want to take here? We'll do it that way. Doesn't really matter. We already won. We already won this battle like 6 minutes ago. It's a matter of actually killing it. Honestly, this reminds me of Truffle Loop in Gems of War. If Truffle Loop took 10 minutes. Where you already know you have an infinite loop to win the battle, but the game just doesn't let you automatically win. That's what it reminds me of. Like trying to run Truffle on level 500 faction in Gems of War. Except even longer, as far as time. Like, you know you won within like a few turns, but then it takes forever to actually do the rest of that time, to do the rest of your turns. How are you not dead yet? Come on now. There we go. Oh, hello, Chad, then. That'll work. Oh, you've been using the gamer tag thing? Oh, okay. That makes sense. I'm sometimes bad at memorizing those because everyone uses so many different names. It throws me off sometimes. Okay, to finish dailies, we'd have to do 3 more. Theoretically, you only have to do 2 of these, though. Anything more than that's kind of just leaderboard. So we're actually doing a bit more than we need to. So technically, we're done with dailies. Though also, technically not. Because you can kind of consider this like a guild requirement, almost like how it is in Gems of War. Though it's not actually a guild requirement anyway. It's not even guild related. It's more like if you did Bounty Hunter or not in Gems of War. The equivalents of that. The only difference being that it takes longer than the entirety of Bounty Hunter. The Bounty Hunter in Gems of War takes like, what, 2 hours or less these days? About 2 hours. Or 2.5, whatever it is. It's like 2 to 3 hours. This event takes, I believe, around 5 minutes per, if you were focused the entire time. I believe it's 5 minutes per set of battles. So if we're doing 7 of them, that's 35 minutes. Over 3 days, that's, oh, I guess it's about as long as Bounty Hunter then. It's like an hour and a half. The only problem is literally every 3 days instead of like 3 days every 6 weeks. So it's literally every day. Which is the problem. That's one of the issues. You have to do not only your battles every day, so you can't just front load them all when you have time, but it also occurs literally every day. And the other bad thing about how they have the economy balanced is if you're not doing them, they're set up in a way where you feel like you're missing out on a lot of loot, especially challenges. Daily challenges are so much loot. Some of them, like when they give you a crystal or literally like a mythic piece to go craft something. Like, the amount of value from them is so absurdly high compared to not doing them. The value for this isn't as high, but still pretty high. Especially the fact that it gives you gems. And the fact that pretty much any position on the leaderboard will give you a net positive gem gain. Unless you went like really crazy for first, in which case you actually would lose gems. That'd be very unlikely. The other big issue with this game, still no endgame content. They did say they were working on something related to that, though, in the past. But we still haven't gotten anything for it yet. Like actual proper endgame content. Like something guild related and, you know, something to actually work towards. Because, of course, in Gems of War, the main objective to work towards is kingdom upgrades. Is probably one of the main things. But in this game, there's no, like, equivalence to that. To any degree. Like, you're pretty much just grinding loot for in areas, just so you can grind better loot in those same areas. Is basically what it is right now. There's nothing that you're specifically trying to get that loot for, necessarily. Because, like, right now what we're doing, this is the hardest event challenge in the game. Like, not Explore 100, that's harder, obviously. But as far as, like, one specifically tied to an event, like how Guild Wars or other things are in Gems of War. Like, this is the hardest it ever gets. And you've noticed we've taken 0 damage in any of them. We haven't even been touched. Actually, might not even been literally touched in some of these battles. Because barriers. Yeah, honestly, the best feature Puzzle Quest 3 has going for it, which they haven't done a patch for specifically, ever, which they really need to put more resources towards. Co-op in this game. Co-op can actually end up being really amazing. I know the first week or two with Isabel and Kaki and a few other people, co-op was a lot of fun. Like, it has potential to be really, really good if they worked on it more, made it stabler and everything like that. It's a really unique aspect that other Match 3 games don't even really do either, to such a degree. And if they expand upon that, that could be like the main selling point for the game. It's just the whole co-op interaction with it. The big issue with co-op now is it's extremely unstable. It's less loot than if you were to play normally, like substantially less loot. Like, you're literally handicapping how much loot you will get if you play in the co-op right now, which is why there's like 0 people doing co-op at the moment. Because it's actively worse to just playing the game normally. Both from a connection standpoint and also from a loot standpoint. And even with a stable connection, it would still be less loot. Yeah, we've had a lot of fun in the party system in this game. There's just not much incentive to use it, and it's not really stable currently. Also, with that system that they added too, they could add a proper PvP system too. Like a real-time PvP system. Because they already have the co-op infrastructure for it. I mentioned it on the forum ages ago. Though I didn't make a specific thread, it was in just a gigantic PvP feedback thread. But they could use the co-op system that they already have, and basically, instead of making it co-op, make it competitive. Or, you know, as a different mode, not to overwrite what already exists. But basically have it so 2 people are racing through the same dungeon, and whoever gets it done quicker gets more loot or something similar. You know, we're basically racing some other person or multiple different people to complete out a dungeon. And the goal is to get it done quicker than them. And even have like a leaderboard for it and all that stuff. Maybe a few leagues, so, you know, have bigger players than just destroy all the newer ones. And it could be like an actual proper PvP game mode. That wouldn't replace current PvP, but would be its own thing as an additional mode. Also, this game really needs minigames. It has no minigames. It also will not be launching with any minigames. They plan on eventually doing them, but it's not launching with any. And we have no clue when the first one's coming. When is the launch date for Puzzle Quest 3? It is currently unknown. They're trying to get it on Steam before the end of the year, I know that. Beyond that, I'm not really sure date-wise what on Earth is planned. We might have more solid dates in the upcoming weeks or months, though no official dates are given, other than probably Steam before end of the year. Beyond that, we don't really know much more, though. Oh, don't get rid of my stagger. We needed that from our barrier. I don't think it's going to matter, though we currently don't have mana. Which is slightly problematic because it just randomly crits. Oh, never mind. We have barrier. It doesn't matter. It almost mattered, though. How do I want to do this? Because we actually aren't in an auto-win position yet. Though we're about to be as soon as this turn ends, pretty much. I don't have a way to drop that properly is the big issue here. Because ideally we want to take yellow, obviously. There's no way to do that currently. Unless I'm missing something. Is there a way to drop that? No, there isn't. Let's go do that then. I think that's fine. At least we can just cast this and then just win. He's just gonna hit barrier here. Worst comes to worst, we can make it do gaze, which makes us have a less timer, which is actually beneficial. Lowering our timer is actually beneficial compared to having it higher. You want that number to be as small as possible. Because as long as it's like at least 1 second, you pretty much have enough time. At least on PC anyways. It's a little bit tighter on mobile because if you misclick even once, it kind of ends your timer pretty much. But on PC, it's definitely way easier. That or with a bigger screen with touchscreen could work. Phone screen's just a little too small for how quick you have to take them. At least with my size fingers anyways. Let's see. So let's go for that. Oh, please move. There we go. Oh yeah, this is glacially slow. Like really, really slow. These aren't even high-level enemies either. This is just level 60. This is like where people used to farm. Like before they could, because a lot of people couldn't do record factions. I don't think they still can. Because they're at the point where they don't have like a good barrier option or anything similar. And they would, you know, before all these patches, they would end up doing dungeons at like level 55 or level 60 or something similar. But this is us basically doing that 60. I think these go up to 65 or something, or somewhere around there. And they still take forever in the current state of the game, because this is where most people used to farm before it got changed. Which means those people probably aren't farming there anymore. Because this is with like decent gear and everything. And it's still taking this slow. But yeah, we will be at almost the 4-hour mark when we finish the dailies. Though we were talking and doing a bunch of other stuff too. But we will basically be at the 4-hour mark by the time the dailies are actually done. Not counting doing any other content in the game, like if you're still side questing and other stuff, just the dailies itself. Which is obviously really bad. I'm just surprised by how little was changed this patch for it though. Like this patch wasn't bad, but relative to what the game needs, it's kind of bad. Like the patch, this was one of the few patches that did very minimal bad things, even though there still were a few. But the things that it needs, like the game desperately needs right now, it did like 0 of those things. Like a grand total of 0. Even though everything in it was technically good, for the most part. Worst thing was probably the Abel nerf. The Abel nerf and the fact that you can't use level 1 equipment anymore, even if it's Legends. Or you can, but it's a lot weaker. And the problem is you don't know if you want to upgrade it or not, because you're still going to rebalance probably all the gear in the game still. So there's a hesitation to actually upgrade them, because you're probably going to upgrade it and then it's like, oh, it's going to become useless in like a month from now. Because they're definitely going to rebalance the perks as well as rebalance the gear themselves. Oh, I forgot. I can't take an extra turn there. Oh, I don't have barrier either. He better not crit. Oh, no. This is why you get the backup. Oh no. Okay, it's blinded. Even if it crits, it shouldn't be able to kill. Good. Mistakes were made. I hate when I do that. Sometimes you forget that they connect together and you don't get your extra turn. Like when they connect to a 3 and it's like, oh, I was gonna move the other one. It's like, oh, I can't now. I hate when I do that. Normally when you're not paying attention, it can happen. You're not paying attention to every angle. If you're taking more times for your moves, you tend to not do that. However, when you're doing dailies and you're just trying to get them done quickly, that can happen a decent number of times. I forgot. I didn't get to stagger that one. That one we did though. Gotta be careful because when they're in the same vertical row, they get destroyed because the destroy that thingy that does. Oh, so one of the few instances where destroying vertically is not useless off the barrier gem. The main reason for it is it's happening after you already did your turn rather than during your turn. When you're destroying vertically, like right now, before our turn is over, it's really bad. Like if we were to do something to destroy this right now, that's not generally good unless we just really desperately need it. But what is good is if it happens all the way at the end of your turn, which is what happens when it gets matched. In that case, doing a vertical destroy actually isn't that bad. I'm not sure why I'm trying. Actually, you know what? It doesn't make sense to do armor. Because normally they have so much armor where taking skulls like that would be pointless. I forgot it actually is useful because this current game mode has an effect where they have 0 armor. So any skull we get is just hitting directly on HP value. At least for this event anyways. It changes every 3 days. And for the other one, it changes literally every day. For this one, it's every 3 days. You sell the purple boots you want for 1,000 gems. Honestly, for 1,000 gems, I probably would rebuy them. Because out of any other piece from the set, spitting on the useless boots is probably the best location. And I end up scrapping my purple dark boots. And not purple to rarity, though it was purple to rarity too, but I mean the purple color. Because that's the only color that's ever useful in. Oh, we still have one more left too. All that, it's still got one more. We're 4th place on leaderboard. I believe we make tied first if we don't take any damage. With a guarantee 2nd. Because both these people took damage somehow. 1st place might have also taken damage. I'm not sure how you take damage though. You'd have to like really have a lapse on a turn or they just crit like crazy. Because it's so easy to just don't take damage. As I say that, we'll probably take damage this time, right? Mostly because I don't have enough yellow to take here. So it's time to go take some damage. As soon as I say that. No, we should gain barrier here. We should be fine. Oh, we almost killed it too. I can't stagger those, but they spawned in a way that I can take it at least, so that's good. But hopefully everyone on leaderboard took damage. That way we just get a free win there. Problem, I have no way to take anything here. I need skull. Oh, we're finally gonna take damage then. Right as I say it. No, we'll see. We'll jinx it immediately. Honestly, at this point, I almost want to try for Sky Skull. Trying for Sky Skull in this game is generally a bad idea. The value that you get from it's a lot less compared to Gems of War. Oh wait, I already have a skull. What am I doing? Duh. That should be good enough. I'll do that just in case though. He's gonna die here, so. Only problem is that we do get hit next turn. I don't think it can possibly crit for enough damage though. Oh, we also have the thing up. It works even better. Perfect. Okay, let's match. We won. A little bit of trouble getting our initial mana there. And now we just auto win. It's already over. So we knew within 1 minute of the battle, even on a longer battle, where the beginning was sketchy, we knew 1 minute into the battle that we already won. The battle is now going to take about 4 more minutes, if not 5 more minutes. Probably 5 more minutes. Yeah, we already know we won the battle. So normally you'd want to stun there. I'm doing this because we already know it's dead. Oh, never mind, we don't know it's dead. Oh, never mind. Wait, it did get stunned. Oh, I didn't see it. It got stunned on this guy. I forgot. They have double resistance. They might have 0 armor, but they have double the amount of resistance this time. So if they normally would have had 5,000, they now have 10,000. So like right here, he would have had like 6,000, but now he has 12,000. I forgot that was a thing this time around. So even though we don't have to deal with any armor, we have to deal with the other annoying thing of them just being like unkillable on resistance. Not literally unkillable though, obviously that's exactly how we're killing them, but you know, a very annoying amount of resistance. Oops, that's not where I wanted that. Okay, I guess that works now. Also, I see they still haven't fixed the infinite stats effects. Because there's a weird glitch that happens with it with Shaman. No, it happens with every hero class, however, it's most relevant on Shaman. Currently, if you do something that has an infinite timer and apply that stats effect on something that already has a stats effect, it'll -1 from its total stats effect. So let's say, for example, you apply a poison that lasts for an infinite number of turns, and they currently have 5 stacks of poison on them. They will go down to 4 poison due to that, and then go down to 3 the following turn when the turn switches over. So basically, it just -1 from their number when you add an infinite to it, because I don't know why. It just -1. But there's probably some kind of weirdly weird algebra reason for that. But the infinite -1 from it. And then in doing so, it's relevant for Shaman, because of course the duration that it's lasting for isn't really too relevant for the most part, because they're generally long enough that, you know, it's going to work it regardless. But Shaman specifically has an ability where the number of poison stacks on the enemy determines how much damage one of its abilities do. And that's pretty bad if they have less stacks, because, yeah, something that should have put more stacks onto the enemy is actively putting less and making you do less damage. Which makes that one thing on him actually generally not used. Because if you're using Shaman, or really any class, you're generally going to be using their Channel Color spell. And that's pretty much required to use in literally every build. The only one that might be able to get away with it is Necromancer, might not necessarily need it. But like everything that isn't Necromancer, probably even Necromancer too, would run with their Channel specific color spell, correlating with their color. And that has the infinite power on it, where when you end up applying it, it lasts for an infinite number of turns. Like if we get blind on him, that will last even if we go for like 20, 30, 50, 100 turns. It will never go away. But it has a weird interaction when they already have the effect on them. It's just -1 instead of lasting an infinite amount of time. Tonight's stream, will you go over the new faction infos? Yeah, we might go over it again. We're probably ending this stream soon. I'm probably going to go grab lunch and dinner. Because I didn't eat lunch. Or dinner, obviously. Guys, that might be the final battle we do. Maybe double check our chests just for the sake of it. Though we don't have any interesting chests. I think we already opened the diamond, didn't we? Unless there's still one left. So I think it still had like an hour left, so we're not going to wait that out. But yeah, this is the current state of Puzzle Quest 3. Is it an improvement compared to last patch? Yes. Was that such a low bar that literally anything would have been higher? Yes. It's a step in the kind of right direction, but like a mile away from where it needs to be. And a lot of like the really crucial things were not in the most recent patch. Honestly, that's probably the worst thing in the most recent patch. Was the lack of things that were in it. More so than what was. Like what was, most of it wasn't horrible. It's just the stuff that wasn't in it is more so the problem with the patch. Things that should have been in the game months ago that still aren't. Step in the left direction. Sandwiches? No, I'm not actually sure what I'm gonna go make. I just might go out and get something. Oh, what do we want here? Oh, we don't barrier up. I should probably go fix that in case I do something really dumb. Just in case. Always good to have barrier up. Prevents you from just doing something that will automatically get you killed. for those moments when it does happen. Can I actually turn that? I can. I was gonna say, there's still more moves. There actually was one more. Let's go over there. If nothing else, that's actually a really good indicator on if you have or have not taken them all, because it'll actually tell you when you haven't now. So if it doesn't specifically say you're out of moves, you still have moves. Anything good? Nope. Protect from evil and nothing. Those are only two worth checking, because that can be a glyph and that can be something not useless. Alright, let's see what our final score is. This should be with no damage. Did anyone else tie us with no damage? Yay! We got first place by doing nothing but just doing the event. Success. But yeah, everyone took damage. We took no damage. Even though we bought the same amount of tiers. Alright, well, we got first by just you know. I think I'm not sure if they fixed double multi-way ties. But just by taking no damage, we got first, so. Success! Because you could tell they took a lot of damage. They took some damage, they took some damage. But if you take no damage, you get the full amount of points. The point system's still really weird for it, though. But as long as you take literally 0 HP damage, you do get the max amount of points in this game mode. As long as your HP never drops below max. So as long as you do that, boom, there you go. First place, 1,000 gems. And also, while we did spend some gems to do this event, we only spent 400. So we're net gaining 600 from the exchange. So not only do we get all the loots that we just saw across all those, but we also get technically 600 gems. Technically 1,000, but you know, 600 profit in gems. How many gems do you spend in that event? 400. It goes 100, then it goes 100 for 2 battles, then 300 for 3 battles, then 500 for 4. Then I believe it's 900. It's either 700 or 900 for 5. And then you can buy an infinite 5 for 1,200. Which is pretty much never going to be worth it. So you need to go for top 5 to break even. For how many we bought, yes. Though you can go 0. For example, this is what it looks like when you go 0, I believe, where Elric is right now. So for 0 gems, they got 300 gems. And for 400 gems, we got 1,000 gems, which is 600 total. So we're getting like double what they were getting. But they spent 0, and they, you know, they still got there. I believe these people right here spent 100. So for only 100 gems, these still profited 200, which is, oddly enough is less than that person, which is kind of funny. But these two people got like 200. This person who spent 100 got 300. And these are the people who spent 400. So this one literally just broke even. This one got 100. This one got 350. And assuming we can maintain this, we got 600. That's basically how it works. So theoretically, because there's so few people on leaderboard, the argument can be made that just doing 0 or 100 is probably the best way to go, because the chance that you get profit from it's so ridiculously high. But I believe top 10 gets at least 300, and then once it goes down to 100, I believe it still gives 100 gems all the way if you make 100th place, as long as you make top 100. So if you could still do that with 0, that's still 100 gems for nothing, just by doing the standard amount of battles. Of course, there aren't too many people on the leaderboard yet. This requires you to have all the way at max tier, and you unlock it slowly over time with those little thingies. So over time, this full leaderboard will be people, but it takes a while to get to this point, unless you keep making first place on every leaderboard, in which case it can be done in 10 days, actually, or not 10 days, 1 month. It can be done in 1 month to get to tier X if you make first place on every leaderboard. Otherwise, it takes a few months, and this feature has only been out for about a month and a half. So unless people have been specifically getting like the top of every leaderboard, they wouldn't be in max dungeon yet. Also, even if they are in max dungeon, they might not necessarily be able to do max dungeon, because of course they have to have the gear to do so as well. Because even if they can make it there physically with points, you know, they still need the actual stats to physically do the battles and all that. But there we go. After 3 hours and 46 minutes, so we did spend about an hour and a half going over the other stuff. So technically the dailies did just take a little over 2 hours. But after that time, we finally finished all the dailies. So yeah, the daily system takes way too long. Way too long. But anyways, I think we'll end it here. No point really showing these on stream. It's just a bunch of random junk, like just crafting material. There's nothing we can immediately do. It's not like we're randomly going to get an epic or a legend from any of these. Nothing too exciting in them. So anyways, we'll be back with Puzzle Quest, I'm not sure when. Whenever something interesting happens. Obviously, we did a stream today because last night version 0.37 came out. But when we have more news on as far as like when releases will come out and if they do more updates, which hopefully will be soon and not a whole nother month plus again, which it probably will be, but who knows. But whenever anything big happens for the game, we'll end up doing a stream for it, kind of just mention it. We will have a regular schedule once it's fully launched, though we're still a little ways away from that. Realistically, we're like upwards of a year, though they might end up releasing it a bit earlier than that. We'll have to see. Could you use open all chest button? Oh yeah, we don't have an open all chest button. I really wish we would have such a feature. It is very slow doing these one at a time. Another thing that we need is an auto set highest pet, which Salty was kind of confused when I said that and offered it, or mentioned it on the thing. So he didn't quite understand what it meant. I'm not sure how. But like a way to automatically set the highest pet. Because currently if you want to set a pet, you have to go through like a billion menus. And there's not just a button that you can press to like go, oh hey, I want to put the highest like recovery time, or I want to put the highest key chance, or I want to put the highest mission time onto this box, so that it automatically puts the one that isn't used. You can somewhat do it with the changes that were done in the previous patch. Also, apparently I'm opening these all now. But you could kind of do it with what was done in the previous patch, but it's not quite the same because you still have to go through a billion menus. It was better than what it was before, but still very tedious. Like, for example, we didn't show it for a while, like, this was added in the previous patch, and it's an improvement, but it's not, like, ideal. So if we want to go open, let's say, this diamond chest over here, we go unlock the diamond chest with the diamond thingies we have, we go click on it, we then go and slot it in, and then we go back to our inventory, we then go all the way back over here, go into this menu, and ideally what I want is you click this button, or even just options here, and you just have hit highest on like what your key chance is, and you just click a button and then boom, it just sets it and you're good to go. So you only have to go to basically one menu, you click, you're ready to go. What you have to do is go all the way over here, click over here, click over here, click over here, click this, click confirm that you want to set that one, and then this menu stays, and then you just go to one to the other to the other. It's not as bad because once you're in this menu it saves this. So once we set this guy, and when we go back into the menu again, we could just go set another one like that and just kind of keep doing it that way. Though it's not quite the same because you still have to do quite a bit more clicks, and it wastes like an extra minute or two compared to options that they could have. And given how many times you sometimes cycle through these, especially if you're doing like lower chests, that could be every hour if you're actually like, actively playing, because you generally only open woodens when you're actively playing the game. You don't tend to open them much otherwise. I don't know, it still needs improvements. But anyways, like pretty much everything in this game. Overall, the core experience, still hanging around, still feel like it has potential, but still needs a lot of work, and it is very, very, very slowly getting there. But we'll see how it keeps progressing. But we're keeping tabs on it. Anyways, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. We'll be doing Gems of War tonight, as we do every single night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is the other game made by these devs, the better one. And we'll also be doing new faction tomorrow for that. We got a new mythic coming out tomorrow. We'll be covering that in the morning with a video. And of course, we'll be doing our streams every night, as we always do for Gems of War, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as far as other games that aren't Gems of War related or Puzzle Quest related, we'll be doing Fall Guys this Saturday, probably around noon, about the same time we probably started this stream, probably around noon or so. And they're going to be bringing in the start of a bunch of Jungle Book skins from that one Disney franchise. I believe we're getting one of the females from one of the main protagonists from one of them first. And then I believe we're getting the tiger, then the bear, and then one other one. I'm not sure exact order. But the one coming out that day is just the one female protagonist one. I forget her name off the top of my head. From one of the movies related to the Jungle Book. But anyways, aside from that, yeah, we'll have a lot of fun with that. They actually did the 5.5 version patch as well. I haven't streamed it since then. That actually happened on Tuesday. But Saturday will be the first stream that we do of that. So we have that going on, so that'll be fun. But anyways, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful week. We'll catch you guys soon. Hope you have a wonderful weekend as well. And best of luck with everything Puzzle Quest 3 related if you're playing the game. You'll need it. But anyways, guys, I'll catch you later. Thanks for stopping by. Goodbye, everyone.